All right, good evening. I'd like to open the January 16th meeting of the Wakefield Conservation Commission. We'll take roll call. Ken,
Here.
Haley,
Sorry, here.
Jim,
Here.
uh, Peter,
Here.
Teresa,
Here.
and let's see, Paul is on vacation. Next up is approval of the minutes from January 2nd.
I move that we accept the minutes of January 2nd.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Yeah,
Any
30.
discussion? Okay, all in favor? Ken,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
and I also vote yes. All right, anybody who's here for DEP 313-631 94 Butler Ave, that has been postponed to February 6th at the applicant's request. Again, that's 94 Butler Ave has been postponed per the applicant's request. All right, next up, DEP 313-637. It's 4 Briggs Court / 0 David Lane. Public hearing notice of intent for the demolition and removal of an existing structure and the construction of a new dwelling, garage, driveway, and associated grading within the buffer to BVW. John, you must be here for that.
I am. Good evening, John Ogren, Hayes Engineering. If I might share my screen.
Yeah, hang on, I might need to. Okay, John, go ahead.
You see that?
Yes.
All right. This is a notice of intent filing for, it's actually 2 assessor parcels. There's 4 Biggs Court and 0 Davy Lane. And with me tonight is Sonia and Sean McDonough. They are the owners of the property. They currently live in Wakefield and they would like to stay in Wakefield, and they're looking to construct a new home. So 4 Biggs Court is located at the end of Biggs Court, and Biggs Court is essentially off of Butler Ave. It's kind of behind houses along Davy Lane. Biggs Court itself is essentially a gravel road, and there are several houses off of that gravel road. And so the property that we're talking about is at the end of Biggs Court. So 4 Biggs Court encompasses these lots 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, which is about 29,000 square feet. And then there's a second parcel, which is a portion shown here as a portion of lot B, and that's about 2.15 acres. Really only looking at constructing or doing any work on essentially the parcel that's known as 4 Biggs Court. So in terms of, as I said, it's a gravel road, and then ending at 4 Biggs Court. As far as resources on the property, there is a bordering vegetated wetland that is shown here. It's located basically on the easterly side, and that wetland continues on into quite a bit of that portion of lot B. It was Elizabeth Wallace from our office flagged it. I believe her and Elaine went out and reviewed the line. Elaine had a couple modifications to the line. One was connecting wetlands flag 5 to wetlands flag 6, or eliminating 5A. And then over on this side here, it was added another flag 12A over in this area. Topography wise, it's essentially, it's a mostly wooded lot. And topography wise, it basically slopes from Biggs Court towards the northeast, so basically to the right, and towards the back of the lot. There is an existing house on this lot as it sits. That house is pretty much in disrepair, so the intention is to raise that structure and build a new single family home. So what we're showing here is we are proposing to extend we're calling it the gravel driveway, but essentially in the roadway, and then paving a driveway to the new proposed house. And you see the proposed house is kind of shaded in a lighter tan. It's a house, breezeway, garage, and a porch. We're showing the associated grading, essentially grading quite a large portion of the backyard. They're looking to create a nice fairly level backyard, I guess, for the potential future possibility of having kids. We're also showing we have a stormwater management area, an infiltration system that's designed to basically has the volume for the new house footprint area, and it would contain the one year storm event, which is 2.67 inches. This orange line you can see is essentially our limit of work and proposed erosion control. All this activity will be outside. This line here is the 25-foot from the bordering vegetated wetland. All the activity is outside that 25-foot, which the commission likes to see. And you can see too, this line here is the 100-foot buffer. So, majority of the house is within the 100 feet, but the garage and the driveway and quite a bit of the grading is outside of that 100-foot. The only other thing I'd like to add is in terms of utilities, we mentioned the stormwater, but there is an existing water service. We're planning on utilizing that existing water service to the existing house in the new house. And then as far as sewer, there is a sewer main that runs behind the property. I should probably mention this lot was before the commission back in 2000, and it was approved. And back then it was proposed that this sewer would connect, cross through the wetlands and connect into the existing sewer trunk in the rear. This time we're proposing to use a grinder pump with a force main and essentially take that force main and run it all the way out to Butler Ave. So we won't be actually, the original proposal, there was some temporary disturbance of the wetlands, but we're going to be avoiding that. So like I said, all the activity is outside of the 25-foot. I'll answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, John, the storm tech units designed for, you said, a 1 year storm?
The 1 year storm, yeah, 2.67 inches, which is it. I think it's 98 or 99% of the storms are would be included in that. It's really only that last 1% of the annual storms that are greater than that storm event.
Is there an opportunity to expand those storm tech units and add more with the grading you have?
I guess potentially. I was trying to keep it up here, just in terms of we haven't done any kind of test holes or anything, but as it is now, we should definitely be above the groundwater. You know, down here, the wetlands are down around the 76 is the highest, basically, and we're up around 82, so we should have the clearance in there. I think in terms of, you know, impacts and mitigation for the drainage, you know, that's not accounting for the existing house. You know, that's just taking the new footprint and putting it into those storm techs.
Does that include the garage and porch?
Yeah, that includes the porch and the garage, correct?
Okay.
John, is there any reason why the house couldn't be moved over closer to the neighbors? What's the side yard requirement?
It would be 15 feet.
Yeah, so that would move it more out of the 100-foot buffer.
Yeah, I think they, you know, their intent was to try to move it away from, you know, some of the abutting properties.
Okay, but so it sounds like you said, I'm sorry, it's 15 feet is the side yard?
That's the minimum requirement.
The minimum
Right,
is
right.
50. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know how
John.
many trees would be planned to come down, John? 6-inch greater?
No, we didn't go out there and locate all the trees. I mean, there are quite a few trees out there. But what I thought might be helpful, yeah, I'm assuming that the commission's going to want to do a site walk.
Yes.
I thought what we would go out and stake out the house, kind of the limit of work line, and also the 100-foot buffer zone line, so we can kind of get an idea of what trees, you know, may be impacted.
Okay.
John, is the only soil sample you was at wetland flag number 7? Is that right?
Soil samples was, yeah, soil samples was part of the delineation.
Yeah, but you did one soil sample for the whole line, correct? At flag,
I think that was submitted. I don't know what I don't know if Elaine and Elizabeth looked any further into soils.
I was just wondering why you took it so far away from where the house is going. That's all.
I think we were just, you mean towards the back? And
well, yeah, I mean, I would have thought you'd be taking samples closer to where the house is. It's not a concern. I just noticed that it was just everything was done on wetland flag number 7.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you exactly why she picked that spot.
Okay.
I think if you look at the topography, you can kind of see that this wetland kind of climbs uphill here.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
You know, so I think she was trying to get a better determination down here where it was, you know, kind of the lower elevation.
Yeah.
Hey, John, can you tell me how much of the going back to the backyard, are there trees all the way in the back, you know, going into the backyard along the limit of work line, for example, between the limited work line and the 25-foot buffer, no trees will come out. Is that right?
Correct. Yes, this orange limit
Okay.
of work would be the extent of the grading and any removal of any trees.
Okay. And how far? So
in
that
some
looks
areas,
like it's going to be more like 50 feet from the
Yeah, probably more like 30, probably in here, it's probably, yeah, about 40 feet. So there should be a good, vegetation, good amount of remaining vegetation between the limit of work and the BVW.
Did they have a landscape or replanting plan at all?
No, they have not done any kind of landscaping plan.
Elaine, you checked the line, the BBW line?
I did check the line with Libby. We went out last Friday, and it's a site that has a lot of soil spills on it. It's very up and down and uneven. It's a very unnatural site. It looks like it's been graded previously, and there's just piles of dirt here and there all over. So we took a spot, or Libby showed me where she had taken a soil sample, which was indicative of the elevation. And we went over every flag. And the other thing I wanted to say, as long as I'm on, is that this property, not only does it abut a wetland, but this wetland is part of a whole long series of wetlands that form a wildlife corridor that goes all the way down to the Saugus River. And when I talked to Libby, I suggested that along the perimeter of the wetland line, that there be a lot of native vegetation that could serve as kind of a feeding station for anything that's on that wildlife corridor. So I'm hoping that there'll be a landscape plan that shows a lot of native species replacing the trees that are coming out, and there's some large oaks that are coming out. So there should be a lot of shrubs and other trees going in right along the edge of the existing wetland. I think I sent you an email with an attachment that showed where that wildlife corridor is.
Okay. I do not find that yet.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. That would be so. Elaine, just
I sent it to everybody last Friday.
Okay, let me take a look. I want to see if it's. Oh yeah,
I actually have it.
I have it too, but I don't know how to put it on.
I can.
Can you put it up on the screen?
Yeah, I can share.
Elaine, you don't think it's unusual that the BVW line goes up 5 feet from flag wetland 7 to say wetland 10?
I think that when you take the site visit, you'll see that there are some of these dredge spoils, for lack of a better expression, that intrude into what was once a wetland so that the flag comes down. So if you go up there, you'll see the land goes up and down and up and down. And that would explain the location of the flags. Okay. It's not like you're going into a wetland that hasn't been previously altered decades ago.
Okay.
So Elaine, so we'll see the differences in, I guess, in elevation and seeing, because the ground will be, I guess, in mounds. But if it's snow covered, how much will we see?
I think, well, I would like to go to the site visit with you. Libby may go. I certainly would like to be there. And
that'd be great.
Certainly the more snow, the harder it is to see the topography. But hopefully, the snow that's on the ground now will be washed away in the rain.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Elaine, you want to talk about the corridor here that you sent us?
Yeah, so this is from Mass Mapper. And you can see that at the top of the line is the beginning of this series of wetlands. And you can see it runs all the way down. You can see where Four Bigs Court is. It crosses that street. And I think at the very bottom of the screen is the Saugus River. So, and then there's another here, this one, that one shows it close up. This one, you can see it like as if you're higher up, but there's the wildlife corridor if you connect all those wetlands, and it's quite extensive. So it would be nice at the head of this, where I think a lot of animals will nest out or bed down. We saw evidence of deer there, that this would be an excellent spot to try and beef up whatever food you can give to that wildlife with native plantings. And there's the corridor. It's very, very long.
That's awesome. So Elaine, it looks to me like looking at the line that, that the building lot doesn't seem to be impeding, it doesn't seem like the proposed construction. It'll actually move the house a little further away from the wildlife corridor.
I think that the house is a good distance. I mean, given the size of the lot,
yeah.
I think the house is a good distance from the wetland. And I think that any landscaping that you do would be a nice buffer around that wetland. I don't see that house as being right on top of that wetland at all. I think it's a very reasonable distance from it.
And it looks like it doesn't impede the wildlife corridor at all. That's kind of what I'm getting, what I'm seeing here.
No, it doesn't.
And that's the important thing. That's the thing that, because that really is quite a long wildlife. I've never seen that other picture. That one right there is fascinating to me. That's that other than having to cross over Montrose Avenue, it ties into the it ties right into the Saugus River.
Yeah, and I did not print out the other side of the Saugus, but on the other side of the Saugus, there's quite a bit of open space as well.
Yeah, you've got Breakheart pretty much on the other side of Water Street there. You're right over here. Okay. All right. Any other questions right now concerning this?
No.
We do need to schedule a site visit. I see.
Let's look at the weather. When is it going to be? Is it going to rain? Like Elaine's saying, are we expecting rain?
It's only going to get colder.
Vic?
I do see a hand raised. We'll get to you in a moment.
Hold on. You know what? I'm here in my living room. I'm going to put on the Weather Channel and see what I can find.
It looks like it's going to get.
I'm looking at the daily forecast. So
yeah, it's going to get colder.
Sunday 27 and sunny.
Sunny?
Yeah, Sunday is 27 and sunny.
Yeah. But it's not going to. I doubt the snow will melt before Sunday because it's going to be too cold.
Yeah, it looks to be that way. We do have rain coming next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, more snow.
It looks like next week the temperatures will be higher.
They will.
So I'm thinking maybe we should do it the following week and maybe.
Yeah, it would probably make more sense, though. There might be more snow on the way at that point, looking at this. But Sunday, 28th, you'd have 3 consecutive days in the 40s. Sunday the 28th would probably make the most sense.
Yeah, I agree, Bob.
Works for me.
Does 9 o'clock work for everybody?
It's fine with me. Elaine, is that okay with you?
I can do that.
Thank you so much for coming out with us, Elaine.
Welcome. Yeah, it's an important piece of land. So I definitely want to be a part of the decision on it.
I cannot make that Sunday, but can
Oh,
anybody else?
you suggested it, Bob. I swear to God.
I did suggest it, knowing that probably most people could.
It's Sunday the 28th, right?
That's the kind of selfless person you are, Bob.
Thank you. 9 o'clock, Peter, Jim,
What?
Sunday the 28th, what time?
9 a.m.
Yep.
Yep, I'm there.
Haley, you said yes, I think.
Yep, works for me.
Ken?
Not sure. I have to check.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry.
Would it be best to park in St. Florence and walk across, or do you think we could all park on Big Street, on Biggs Lane?
I'm not sure. I'm not.
It's kind of, yeah, it's a little grown in at the end of Biggs.
I was just curious. I'm going to park. I guess I'll park on St. Florence.
I'd probably park in the church. It's a pretty narrow street.
Okay.
One street, one car in, one car out.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do then. Thank you. I just want.
How can that street exist without a cul-de-sac? That's another question. That's not a conservation commission question. I'm just intrigued by it.
I think it was just a street that was created, quite a while ago.
Yeah, and there's already a house there. I think that probably is the answer.
Yeah, it's probably a driveway at some point, but you would think the fire department would want, a cul-de-sac there to turn.
Right, to do anything right, to do any further development. I just can't imagine, but that's not our hunt, I guess.
No.
The fire department made it clear they just need something to be able to turn around in. So even if it's a driveway that it's like an L shape, basically they can go in and out.
So they'll use your driveway, right?
They'll use our driveway.
All right, any other questions from the commission right now? All right, I do see a hand raised. Please identify yourself for the record with your name and address.
Hi, I'm Kelly St. Hilaire. I live at 18 Davy Lane. So I'm one of the abutters. I am happy to see that the plans are moved a little bit over to the side. I do have a couple of questions though. There is surface water, and I can attest to it being a pretty spectacular habitat. The deer 100% gather around there. There's barn owls, you can hear coyotes, there's fisher cats, there's hawks. Like it's really cool to see all of these animals. My kids really love it, and your kids will love it, guys. But I guess my concern was, so that I don't know what you would technically call it, like a pond, but it is surface water. So I was originally concerned, are they planning to disrupt that? But in general, how will the disturbance of that area potentially create flooding? Like if you go one neighborhood over on New Salem, they're a mess over there. I don't, I'm not a scientist. I don't know the land, but what I understand is that when you disturb wetlands, there is the potential for flooding as they act as a natural irrigation system. So I guess I would just be concerned, how would that potentially impact the properties around? And if it were to cause flooding, who would be responsible for it in the future?
So I guess a couple of things. They are staying substantially away from the wetland, and they will be recharging their roof runoff to the ground. So they are essentially taking that rain that would have infiltrated in that location, building a house in that spot, and then taking all that same rainwater that would hit the roof and putting that right into the ground. So there would be no net impact or change from that standpoint. The existing conditions would be consistent with the proposed conditions.
Okay. And then my other question would be, because that structure, I mean, I think I've called the town on that house since we moved in 2016, because the wind blows and it seemed like it was going to fall down and there were kids going in and out. But I would be concerned about the potential ground contamination. And I think someone asked the question about a soil sample being taken closer to that, and how would that affect both the wetlands and the immediate area?
So the
like
soil
if there were
sample,
potential ground contaminants.
the soil sample was taken to check the soils themselves to see what type of drainage characteristics there are, and if there are wetland soils or not. It's not to look for contamination or anything like that. It's simply to look at the drainage capabilities in the wet or not conditions of the soil.
I'd like to ask a question. John, do you know if there's an oil tank buried on that property?
An oil tank? No, I do not. I do know there was, I think we identified it as a leaching pit, but it could be that it was, an old cesspool for the house, so that would be removed. So that would be a positive in terms of impact on the wetlands.
But your clients are here. Do your clients know whether or not there's an underground fuel storage tank?
So we did ask the fire department. They had no history of it.
Is there an oil tank inside the house, the current house?
Not that we know of.
Okay.
It seems likely that there might have been underground.
Or yeah, do we know
how
how
they
the
go with gas? Go with our gas, right?
Do we know how the current house was heated, John?
They were using propane. There are propane lines.
Okay.
I do still see a hand raised. Did you have another question?
No, I just don't know how to turn that off.
Oh, okay. I can do that for you.
Thanks.
You're all set. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else from the commission on this for now? All right. If not, we do have a site walk scheduled for January 28th at 9 a.m. And Lane, you'll be joining commission, and John, you'll be there, or Libby?
I don't believe I will, but Elizabeth will be.
Okay, great.
What are you going to put out, John? Just recap. What are you going to put out for stakes? What are you going to give us? Are you going to put the house out? Lay out the house?
Yeah, we're going to stake out the limits of the house, the 100-foot buffer line, and then basically the limits of work, or the erosion control line.
Okay. It's good.
John, when do you think you'll have that done?
What's that?
When do you think you'll have that staking done?
Because Bob wants to go there before, on his own, John, to look at it.
Yeah, I might take a visit.
Probably won't be till the beginning of next week.
Okay. All right. All right. Anything else for John? Elaine, you all set with this project?
I'm all set. Yep, I'm all set. I'll see you at the site visit, and that's all I came in for. So I'm going to sign off now. Good night.
Thank you. Thanks again, Elaine.
Okay.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Night, Elaine.
Oh, Rebecca, did you have anything regarding this?
I did not. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to the next item.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. When do we continue to?
I'm sorry, it's February 6th. Tuesday, February 6th, John.
February 6th. Okay. Thank you.
Sorry. All right. Next up, just a reminder again, I did announce at 7 that 94 Butler Ave has been continued at the applicant's request. And that, as of now, is continued also to February 6th. So again, 94 Butler Ave continued. All right. All right, next up, we have DEP 313322 Millbrook Estate Condos. It's a discussion of the status of the stormwater management system.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. For the record, Attorney Brian McGrail with offices at 607 North Avenue in Wakefield, here on behalf of Millbrook Estate Condominium.
Brian.
Good evening. With me tonight is Peter Ogren from Hayes Engineering. Also, there are representatives of the Condominium Association that are joining us in the management company. So the agenda item calls for the status of the stormwater management system, which is a long status. It goes back almost 20 years when the initial order of conditions was issued for this project back in about 2000, and then it was amended for a minor type modification, I think a couple of years later. But unfortunately, a certificate of compliance never issued for this project. So it's been in limbo for a number of years. And it's been bantered about the commission over those past 20 years. I think some of the commissioners that have been here for a while, Mr. Luciani probably remembers the project and some of the history. And some of the neighbors do too. Joe Adagner is here. He's an abutter and someone that we've had significant discussions and correspondence and meetings with on this in an effort to close it out. So it's really the status of it. And what we'd like to do is as far as updating the commission on the status, is propose some cleanup work that needs to be done to bring it in compliance with the order as issued, and then to propose some changes in hopes of being able to satisfy the neighbors and to obtain a certificate of compliance. Because as you know, when you have a project like this with a number of units that doesn't have a significant of compliance from your commission, it's kind of a scar on the project and sometimes creates problems for financing or sales. So it's really something that I think would be beneficial to resolve with your commission, with the town, and with the ownership, the units, and the association. So with that said, if I may share my screen.
Yes, please do, Brian.
Thank you. So I thought this would be the best way to kind of, I guess, start the discussion and familiarize the commission with the project. So this is Water Street, and this is just the map, the GIS map in the town. And Millbrook Lane comes off of Water Street. And then there's the driveway that leads in. This is the Millbrook Estate Condominium. And Mr. Adagner is going to speak tonight, I'm sure, who is our abutter, and his property is here, and he's affected by this. So, and I should say, in preparation for tonight's meeting with the Conservation Commission, I want to thank Rebecca and Bill Renault, the town engineer. We've had a number of meetings with them for discussions on the status and ways to close this out. As recently as this morning, we had another meeting with them, a Zoom meeting. We invited Mr. Adagna to participate in that meeting so he could see what we thought would be good resolutions for this, to make sure that they were going to address any concerns that he had. So the way this, and Peter Ogren can talk more about this in detail because Peter's firm was involved with the permitting of this project. But the way the stormwater system is designed, there's two detention basins as you come in, one on each side of the driveway. One here and one here. And then there's a third one down here near the Mill River. And historically, these detention basins have been an issue from a perspective of question on whether they were sized properly, their effectiveness. Right at the point when the project was built, to the extent that what they did at that time is they in order to address some of the concerns with these basins, they installed a pump in a manhole right up here. And after certain storm events, they would relieve some of the pressure on these detention basins, and that pump would pump it to a point in the development's stormwater management system that it would hit a pipe that would then take it down to the third basin to relieve some of the stress on that. And Joe Adagna has, great history. He was involved when that, through this whole process and when the pump was put in. And it really worked well. And I think Joe will tell you that when he speaks tonight. And it really addressed a lot of concerns and helped everything function. But unfortunately, the system wasn't permitted to do that. So at one point, they were told, I think by your commission or prior commissioners or the agent, Christine Odiaga at the time, that it had to come out because it wasn't part of it. And I don't know why, but they just really never went back to make it part of it because it really seemed to work. So in any event, what's happened is the project, the condominium wants to get a certificate of compliance. So they recently retained Hayes Engineering to do the as-built plan to show that everything is in compliance on the project. And what Hayes discovered on the as-built, that both of these detention basins are a little bit undersized from where they're supposed to be. So they need to be enlarged. And the second thing is that they're not maintained from the perspective that they're filled with growth of weeds, trees, invasive type species, which Peter believes really affects it impacts their effectiveness on how they work. So we need to maintain those. My client does. They acknowledge that as part of the cleanup of these basins. What they're proposing to do, and Peter will talk to you a little bit about this, is to put some crushed stone at the bottom of both of them to prevent some of this vegetation from growing back. And if it does, it will be easily removed instead of having kind of a topsoil event occur on the bottom of the basin. So my clients acknowledge the need to do that. They're ready, willing, and able to do that work and to make those comply. What they think would be prudent and what they would like to have permission to do is to reinstall this pump to be able to take the pressure off of these basins, which Mr. Adagna thinks has an impact on his property on certain storm events. And Peter will talk to you a little bit about this. The goal on that would be to have this pump almost as like a release valve. So if there's a major storm event, once the event is over and the system settles down, that the pump could be initiated to bring these two basins down to a certain level to take the pressure off them and get them ready for the next storm event. That is the way it was working for a while, and it really worked, and there weren't any issues. And I think that, coupled with the improvements that we're talking about to these basins as far as making them compliant for size and capacity, and implementing what we're also looking to do as part of our certificate of compliance, is to submit back in those days, in the infancy of the stormwater management, there really wasn't a detailed O&M plan for these basins. So as part of our certificate of compliance request, we would work with Rebecca and the town engineer to come up with a management plan as far as the maintenance of these basins, and also to determine as part of that what level would be appropriate that the pump would go on and what level would it take them down to, and how that would occur.
Where does the pump the water to? I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking.
I'm not an expert in this, and Peter, if I'm wrong, you can pipe in, but my understanding is, Peter Miller, is that it takes it to another pipe within the system that then runs down to the third basin. So it was a pipe that was installed to get it to a pipe further on in the system to take it down here. And that's the way it worked. And there's a basin down here with capacity, and this basin, when it overflows, discharges into the Mill River. So with that said, I'm going to kind of, if I may, Mr. Chair, hand it over to Peter Ogren so he can correct any mistakes that I made. So Peter, would you mind piping in and
no pun intended?
Yeah, no pun intended. Could you pipe in and kind of, either confirm what I'm telling here and maybe, if not, correct me or add to it?
Yeah, no, I don't think you made any mistakes, Brian, other than these are not detention basins, they're retention basins. And I always tell people if it was a retention hall, I'd still be there. But there's no natural outlet to it, and there was no natural outlet to this depression at the time that it was built. And so when you build a system like this, there's always a storm bigger than the one you designed for. There's always the possibility of multiple events, which cause it to not act the way you'd hope it would act. The other thing is with retention basins, if the bottom of them are frozen, they don't infiltrate at all, and that's the condition that you sometimes find. Now, the good news is we don't usually get as big a rainstorms in the winter as we do in the spring and fall. So oftentimes the biggest storms come when they're not, when there's not frozen bottoms. So it was expected that this thing might fail at some time in its lifetime. There are a couple of factors that have happened over the years. The northwesterly parking lot that's on the northeasterly end of the building, the berm was some reason compromised so that water did not carry down to the southerly detention basin. And that was causing a lot more water to flow into it. We did repair that last year so that is no longer there. But the pump was installed to take care of these multiple events, or these events that were in excess of the original design. And it did work well, and I'm not sure what the history was when the basins became somewhat objectionable in terms of the amount of water contained. And I must point out that there wasn't much change in this watershed. It was always a depression. The only change really was this little first section of the driveway from Millbrook Lane to the northwesterly parking lot. But the pump was added, and the idea of the pump was to wait. These basins might fill up, but wait until the storm event is over and pump it down to the lower basin and let that discharge to the Mill River when the flood stages were not occurring, so that any excess water would be discarded at that time. And again, I'm not familiar with the history as to why, and in fact, I didn't know why it was taken out. As far as applying for a certificate of compliance, I don't know. Felitti Brothers did the original work, and I think they just didn't apply for it. And I have to say that was very common at that time. You know, the Wetlands Act, as we know it, went in '84, but it didn't really gain traction, and people didn't understand all of its nuances until later on. So this project was done in 2000, I believe, or 1999. It was originally permitted, I think. And so it's the act and the inferences of the act have become much more understood and enforced now. So for some reason or other, these basins became contention as to whether they were under the jurisdiction of the commission. And we had a big meeting down there, and then I don't know what happened after that, but I understand Felitti was told to take the pump out. Now, I believe most of the infrastructure of the pump is still there, although I haven't confirmed that. As far as how it was to operate, I had never suggested that it be automatic, because I don't think that's what you want to do. I had suggested that it be pumped at off times, and that could occur immediately. And I'm told that there was a circuit breaker inside the building that they used to control it. I don't know, but I think the best solution is to replace the pump and put it in there. And the effects that the northerly butter is talking about are not overland effects. They're leaching effects that he believes that it leaches. His backyard is quite low. He believes that if the water is contained in the basins for a long time, it leaches into his backyard. This solution would help that. The southerly abutters complaint is not that the water is leaching into the backyard, but rather that it has, I think, twice in the 22 or 3 year history of the basin, it's overflowed into his yard a little bit. And he would like that not to occur, although his biggest issue is the rooted vegetation in the bottom of it. And when the basins were first built, the DEP had suggested that these basins be loamed and have vegetation in them. But we found that in order to minimize maintenance and to encourage the infiltration, putting 4 inches of wash crushed stone in the bottom of the basin it really improves the infiltration. And if rooted plants start to grow, they're easily picked up out of the manually taken out of the stone, because the root structure gets in the loose stone, and you just pull them up before they become trees. This basin has tree size vegetation in it now, because nothing's been done for the last 20 years. So that's what led us to this as a solution to it. And I think that if the condo association is willing to do that, it's probably going to solve everybody's concerns of first of all, the rooted aquatics flowing into the neighbor's yard, and then the long-term effects of multiple storms or storms larger than the design storm. The other point that I think the commission might not be totally aware of is it was decided that we should do a test to see if the presumption is that the infiltration basins that were required were built. And to do that, we went out with the Public Works Department and did a dye study. We put dye in the system that collects the roof water, and it did not appear in either the manhole in the southerly end of the property or the manhole southerly end of the building. So the presumption is that the infiltration must have been built, because the water doesn't just disappear. It's got to go someplace. And so that was, I think, a big plus for moving forward with the certificate of compliance. And the as-built was submitted to the commission some time back, but these are the remaining issues, I think. And I think that it was determined that there aren't other issues as far as issuing a certificate of compliance if we do what we're recommending. Is that a sufficient description, Brian? Or
yeah, it's very well done, Peter. Thank you.
Rebecca, do you have something to add, or something you'd like to comment on?
No, we've sort of been talking about this for quite a while. We've received a lot of pictures from the neighbors. There's clearly an issue with some of the flooding down there. We've talked about this a fair amount. I think that if we get to the basins, we get them to the approved volume, they can hold that. I think that's a step forward, which we should be able to accomplish that relatively easily. So the outstanding item is, and I did have some documentation about this pump. I'm not really sure. It was before me, so I'm not really sure what the issue was with either having it, not having it. I don't know that information, but at this point, we're in a place where we need to do something. And if the commission is okay with the pumping down of the front basins to avoid flooding of the neighbors and transferring it to the back basin, which was also created for this project, I think that is really what we're looking at right now. And after we solve that problem, we can get the as-built, and hopefully we'll just document any changes, and then hopefully issue the certificate of compliance.
Would this work need to be done under an enforcement order to get it done?
No, I don't think so, because we're talking about stormwater management here. So these front basins are just part of the stormwater management system. They're not even like in a buffer zone.
Okay.
So the back basin would be within the riverfront. So I think from what I understand, and as we get the fine details from these guys, I think we'll be able to sort it out. But from what I understand, there may be an existing pipe already. I don't know if I'm not sure if these guys know if it's still there, that originally was from the pump. It went through the pipe and discharged into that basin. So I'm not actually sure how much actual site work would be required. Peter, maybe you can give us a guess on what type of site work, if any, would be required to reinstate the pump, and what that would mean for that back basin, if there's any work that would be associated with that.
Does the pipe show up on the as-built?
I don't know how much of that system was taken out. I mean, I'm sure the wiring is still there, and I think the pipe is still there. I know the abutter might want to speak to that, but the pipe was put in before the site work was finished, and the only pipe that might have been removed was from the pump to the discharge out of the manhole. I don't think they actually did any excavation, so I think the pipe is probably still there. The abutter indicated that the pump was actually left in because it was cemented in. I don't know if that's true or not. I've never looked to verify that. I think that's something we need to do. But one way or the other, it could be done. And I did submit way back when to the Board of Appeals. This was a 40B, and I did submit to the Board of Appeals a sketch diagram as to how the pump was to work and what the pump was. So we know what we need to do to put it back in if it's not there. So I think there's very little work to do it.
Peter, is that pipe located on that sketch you also did with the size and all that location?
Yeah, it's shown schematically. It was a flex pipe, and I think it was, I looked at the plan today, I think it was 8 inches in size or something like that. But the pump wasn't filling up an 8-inch pipe. It was just a pump, a conduit to get the water from the basin to the catch basin.
Hey, Rebecca, is there any do we have any insight? Have we looked at the file to see if there's any insight as to why, why it was recommended that the pump not be used? I guess feel like now we're going by like lore and not, and it's a little, I'm sorry, that was I have 2 questions, but that was my first.
Okay. Do you want me to answer that now?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, I read some memos, and also I reviewed some of the minutes, and the best that I can guess is that it appears to me that the pump was put in, originally the pump was not part of the stormwater management system that was approved. So the pump was put in, at that time, Christine had commented that there's a pump in there and that wasn't a part of the approved plan, so that it would need to either be removed or be submitted to get approved as a modification. And I think I don't know what happened where it was decided or recommended to remove the pump as opposed to go through the approval process. I don't have that information, but each time I see the pump mentioned, it was more or less that if there's a change to the stormwater management system, the commission needs to see the change. It needs to be reviewed and approved.
So they would sooner just turn the pump off and take the bullet on the consequences than to that just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, it seems to me that if the pump was doing its job and doing something important, it wouldn't have been. I guess what I'm getting at is I just don't know whether, is it possible that there were. My second question is, since Peter, you made the point that it's not going to cost a lot of money to try this. I mean, would it be possible just to get the pump, get the pump in working order and try it and see what happens and see whether there's any, in other words, do we have to sit there and commit to saying, yes, we approved the pump, we approved that, and then just cross our fingers that there wasn't a real reason why it was turned off?
I can answer that. So I've gone through all the records, and Rebecca shared some of them with me. I think it was pretty evident that the pump worked, and then in my mind, the developer just didn't move forward and get a permit, and I don't know why. They just didn't do it.
So he just turned it off. He said, "I'd sooner turn
I mean,
it
that
off."
happened.
I would have thought they would have kept the pump going and then not get the. But that sounds reasonable. That you would keep pumping and then not get an approval. That I can understand. I can see more.
I think they got caught with the pump, and at that point, rightfully so, the agent said, "Hey, that's not part of your stormwater management that was approved. So go back and get it approved." And correspondence to get it approved, and then it just stopped. They just stopped the permitting, and that. Unfortunately, back in those days, that happened with these projects. The units sold, time went on, it's over. And then unfortunately, the unit owners are left to deal with it, and they don't have a lot of money to deal with it because it's a condominium. So they're doing their best now to deal with this the best they can. And historically, there were meetings, the records show there were meetings at the site with Peter Ogan was there, the building inspector, Jack Roberto at the time, conservation agent, Mike Collins, the town engineer. There was discussions that it worked. And I don't know, but nobody just finished getting it approved.
It just doesn't make common sense to me.
It does in my world, unfortunately.
Be able to help that. I think that there was a bit of a turf war going on. I think it all started when Christine came up. We were digging in the basins, and she threw the guy off the site and told him that he had a cease and desist and all this kind of stuff. And it was quite heated. And she said that they were jurisdictional, and they weren't. And so there was a bit of an argument ensued about that. And I think that after that, it was determined that they were not jurisdictional. I think that then Ray Felitti and I decided we'd put in the pump. We did. I do have records where we went to the Board of Appeals because this was a 40B and asked to amend it to put the pump in. And I think that when the issue was made by conservation about the pump, I think Ray Felitti just said, well, I'll take it out then and move on with life. I think that was what happened, actually.
And how long was the pump? How long was the pump working for then? Was it months, years? I'm curious.
How do I get that I'm not visual there?
I can't answer. I don't remember, but
okay, because it sounds like that sort of sounds like, you know, they had the pump on for a few weeks or a month, and it and I guess all right.
I think you know, one of our neighbors and someone that we've worked closely to get to this resolution, Joe Adagna, he's in a butter, Mr. Chair. He could probably he has the whole history of this.
I was about to say, he has his hand raised. I think
because he's probably chomping at the bit because Joe was there when all of this happened, and he actually has the pump pipe in his backyard. He's holding onto it for us, so perhaps you could defer to him to get some more.
Yeah, we'll do that. But before we do that, I just want to make sure the as-built that we have does not have the pump and or the pipe. Is that correct, Rebecca or Peter?
I don't remember.
I don't remember seeing any plan that showed the pump or pipe on it. But even the as-built that you have, I think will still need to be changed because they still need to do work inside the basin to get it the same as what was approved. So I think that as-built might be for what it looks like now, but in order to do the certificate of compliance, there'll probably be a different as-built, which will reflect the new grading inside the basins.
And the pipe and pump.
If you guys decide that that's acceptable, then we'll put it all on there. And it's going to document for the record that this is an approved, and if you want to call it like a minor deviation from the approved plan, we can do that.
Okay.
I do know the manhole that the pump was in shows on the plan.
It shows on
I do know that the manhole that the pump was in shows on the as-built plan.
Okay. Okay, Joe, you'd have some information you'd like to add.
Sure. So everything we've talked about today, this evening, I agree with getting the pump working. As for the pump, they had it on for about a year at the most. At one point, when they were told to not use it anymore, they just shut it off. And they tried keeping it as an emergency pump. And this is what I hear from talking to Ray back then. But they said, you can't get your permits and everything until you actually take it out, make it not work. I own house towing, so he actually had me come there to pull the pump out of the hole at that point, and we couldn't get it out because it was actually cemented in. So we abandoned it that day, and I don't know if it actually came out. I know we took the pipe off that went from the pump up to the 90 that went the output, and I have that pipe still. And I feel like that was their solution to disable it, and they might have left it in there. That's why I say I think it might still be in there because we just took the pipe out and it was disabled rather than chipping it out the bottom. So like I said, I think it was working for no more than a year. At one point, it was off, and it was turned on when needed, and then they made them take it out. Or disable it so it couldn't work anymore to go forward with their permitting. Other than everything else that was discussed tonight, I agree that the pump would be the best solution at the same height it was at. The only thing that I ask would be some type of communication line if it's not working correctly to make sure it gets turned on when appropriate. I know it'd be after the storm, I understand that, but make sure it's turned on then. And if there's ever an issue with it, some communication to talk to someone and say, hey, the pump's not working. It's backing up again. But other than that, I always wanted the pump to stay in there. And that's about it, unless there's any other questions. Like I said, I did watch the place being built, and I was friends and worked with Ray for years. So.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. All right, any additional questions from the commission or Rebecca?
I think sounds like to me like that's a good solution, and it sounds like you already know it works. There's not much risk there, so I think we should, go ahead and let them put the pump back in.
Is that a motion? Jim, is that a motion to?
Yeah, that can be a motion. Sure.
All right.
Is taking vegetation out and putting the gravel down also part of it, or just the pump?
And what about expanding the capacity because it was undersized? I'm trying to understand everything.
I think they have to do whatever Peter thought is the size it needs to be. You have to correct that too.
And I assume that's accounting for increased rainfall amounts and capacities in the future as well.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I would imagine and hope that the capacity of those tanks that we're talking about would account for increased rainfall in the future.
We can't do that. There's no more space.
No, Haley, I think it's just getting it in line with what was previously approved. It's not going to be with the precipitation data that we assume today.
So there certainly needs to be some investigation to see, is the pump still there? What pipe needs to be connected?
Yeah,
some work in the basin.
Yeah, so they have to do whatever they have to do to get the pump. And if Peter's got to redefine those basins, then just do that and move on with this.
I think that if the pump is still there, it's unlikely that it'll work if it hasn't run in 20 years.
The only thing I would suggest is that, do you think you need a backup pump in case something goes wrong? With just the one pump in there, or is there not that kind of chance that it's going to cause so much damage that?
I don't know. If there really was an emergency, you could take a surface pump and pump it into the basin, a trailer mounted pump or something like that. I mean, I think the possibility of such an emergency, I think that in the 20 years, first of all, there's been no emergency here. The overflow onto the abutting property on the south side is actually quite minimal. And I've sat down with Mr. Crester, and I, as near as I could determine with him, it only has happened twice since the pump was not there. So I don't think that it's too frequent of an event. The phenomena that the abutter is talking to the north is talking about, this is the first I've heard of that. But if it is leaching into his backyard because the water table's so high and the elevation of it, then the only way you're going to do that is to stop it in terms of time. I mean, it can't be leaching too fast because it's not like these are A soils. They're probably C soils. So if it's leaching over time. And I think that it's just when the base is high, if you pump it down, that'll solve that problem if it is leaching.
Yeah.
So I don't think it creates any emergency situation.
Okay.
Who would be alerted when that pump needs to be turned on, and how? Would there be an alarm or a light that goes on somewhere? How would that all work?
No, I think we just suggest that the operation and maintenance plan says that if the basin's high, and particularly if the bottom of it's frozen so that it's not leaching out the way you would hope it would, that you do it. And you can visually see when it's high. I mean, you could see it a lot better if there wasn't so much vegetation in it, but you can see it. They actually last summer cut a swath down the southerly side of the basin to help get the invasives out of there. But I think you need to dig it down and get rid of the invasives and put the stone on it to get rid of them. But I think you'll be able to see when you need to pump it.
Yeah.
Okay. Would it be the condo association that would be responsible for making sure that happens?
Yes.
Yeah, it would. It would be part of the O&M plan.
Yep.
And
we can include that. We can include that in our O&M plan, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and so just kind of thinking about the logistics, somebody would have to go flip a switch somewhere that may be in a locked or sealed room or something like that.
But it doesn't sound like this is an event that gets, like goes into disaster mode in 5 minutes, right? I mean, you're saying that it slowly flips up and then.
No, just trying to understand how this thing would be turned on and by, where it would be.
I don't know. The abutter said that there was a circuit breaker. That seems to be kind of strange to use a circuit breaker to control it. But there's got to be a circuit that runs out there. I'm sure a switch can be put on it.
Does it have a, does it have like a buoy that flips it on automatically, or is that what was it intended to be that way? You mentioned, Peter, if it hits a certain elevation,
No, it wasn't intended to be that way. It was always intended to be manual.
So would it be a float switch or anything?
No, there was, to my knowledge, there was no float switch.
Okay.
I think that there's no basement in the building, so there's got to be an electric room someplace.
Mm-hmm. We'll look at that, right, Peter? I mean, we're gonna have to look at that as far as.
Yeah, we can look at that. I mean, I would hope if there's a panel for the house, a house panel, that it would be on there, and we could figure that out and just maybe put a switch on the outside of it. I think there was probably a low water switch on it. I mean, Feliti was a mechanical contractor himself, so he kind of handled the install.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we did have a motion. Would somebody like to second that?
I'd like to say it was the motion that is the appropriate motion to, for the for the owner to, just to submit a laundry list of the actions that are going to be taken, cleaning out the basin, putting down the crushed stone, resizing the basin, activating the pump. I just want to make a list of the things we had talked about. Is there anything else that was discussed? I mean,
connecting the pump to the
connecting
pipe.
the pump, and then and then can we have the motion to approve, to approve that proposal? I mean, don't we want to approve a proposal rather than just vote to activate the pump?
That's what we're doing.
Okay, I'm sorry, but okay.
Yep.
And would it be better to approve a proposal that's been written down versus just to, yeah, I'll let you guys.
Peter, were you going to do a drawing or anything to show the new size of the basins that you want to make? Or
yeah, I've already done that and submitted it to the town engineer, and I gave a copy to your agent too.
Okay, so.
Can I just interrupt real quick?
Sure.
I feel like there's kind of like a mishmash of things going on. So there's part of the stuff that needs to be done that is in compliance with what was already approved. So for instance, sizing the basins to what was already approved, that work that should be done in order to get the requisite volume, I don't really think needs any approval, because that was what was previously approved. It just either hasn't been done or needs to be corrected, or whatever the case may be for the basins. So I think, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys wanted to get an idea of whether or not the pump situation is something that is where the commission would be likely to approve. And if that's the case, then we'll clean out the basins, put down the new stone, have a new O&M plan, which will reflect the maintenance of that stone, removing vegetation if necessary. An as-built plan, which will demonstrate that the basin is now constructed and holds the volume that was previously approved. And then typically what we do is, like Peter will send us a letter that says, here are the deviations from the previously approved plan. And that usually is coupled with the as-built plan. So if those guys submit the as-built plan, which shows the pump, and we indicate that there's a deviation from the previously approved plan, but, we've discussed it and it was okayed at this meeting, then that, Peter, I think would be the documentation that you're talking about. And typically that's with the request of certificate of compliance, when we get the as-built plan and any changes and whether or not they're minor, or we could just sign off on them for the certificate of compliance. That's how I envisioned this happening. Brian, do you see any problems with that, or is there a different way you would like to handle it?
No, I'm fine with that. I think our goal is to do just that. We don't want to start down a path of doing work and then say, hey, nice try, but you're still not getting your certificate of compliance.
Right.
We want to be on the same page, and
Right.
and I think you stated it nicely. So if the commission's fine with the pump, then what we're going to do is Peter, correct me if I'm wrong, when the weather breaks, we're going to start doing that detention basin work. We would get the pump installed, as Rebecca said, then we would submit the as-built plan reflecting the corrected basins with an O&M plan for those basins, showing the pump installed, and then with an O&M plan for the pump too, and to include that when it's turned on, how it's turned on, who controls it, and basically, maybe that we have to provide a phone number in the case of emergency, et cetera. And that would all be part of our submitted O&M plan that would be reflective of the change that you're talking about to the as-built.
Is there any other outstanding issues other than what we're talking about now? Is that it? Once that's done, there's nothing that's going to hold up.
That was it, right, Rebecca? You looked at the order today, right? There was nothing else that...
I didn't see anything else. And I do believe I know we had discussed it today. I came across some notes that indicated, I think there was a request for a certificate of compliance at one point in time. And really it was hung up on this pump situation. So I did look at the order. I didn't see anything else, but I can only say though, I have not compared the current as-built with the previously approved. So it's hard for me to say if there's not something else because I haven't seen those. Like I haven't done a review for a certificate of compliance, but you guys should see if you have your as-built and you have the previously approved and you don't see anything, then I'm probably not going to see anything either. Does that make sense? Meaning like if it was constructed as designed and everything isn't about the same place and the grading is about what it was supposed to be, then I feel like we would just issue the certificate of compliance. I can't commit to that only because I haven't had those documents in front of me to do that. But I don't have any other documentation suggesting that there's anything else outstanding.
All right, so there's really two pieces to this. One, to get those basins up to compliance to the original order. And then two, it's to get this pump back in a functioning state. So really they need to be compliant with the notice of intent and the as-built that was originally issued. So really the motion here is to allow the work to happen to get this pump installed, plumbed, wired, and functioning. That's really, I guess, what the motion should be. Right, Rebecca?
We also had things that were not in the original plan, which is Peter's suggestion that we should pull the plants and put down crushed stone and have an O&M plan. So those are additional things that are not in the that were not in the original order of conditions.
The vegetation removal seems pretty standard to me as maintenance of those basins.
Well,
I don't know if I'd consider that a deviation from the plan. I don't have the previous.
Yeah. Well, I know, but isn't the point that those are things that ought to happen? The pump is not in there. We're going to approve the pump.
Yep.
But there's other things that were not in there too that we would like to approve too, which is clarify that there should be an O&M plan. The vegetation should be pulled and the stone should be put down, as Peter suggests.
I believe we looked at it and there was a maintenance plan that talked about maintaining the basins and removing vegetation. They were not designed with the stone initially, but I think that's maintenance.
And I think that's a minor change.
I honestly think that you've got all the information you need to go forward. I don't know. It seems like you're just making it conform to the approved plans. The only difference is the pump. Mm-hmm. So everything else you should be able to just do.
Yeah, agreed.
I think you're right, Jim.
All right, so we still need to vote on the pump. portion of this. And Jim, you did make a motion.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor? Ken?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
And I also vote yes.
Thank you. Just so we have everybody's on the same page, especially with Joe here. Peter Rogan, what's the best time of year to do that work? I mean, probably not now, I would assume.
No, I think you probably need to wait till spring.
Okay.
Might be partially frozen, but I wonder if Joe, you said you worked on it before. Are you a mechanical engineer? I didn't hear what you did.
Me? No,
not a mechanical engineer, a mechanical contractor. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not. I just helped them. I owned the tow company in Wakefield, so I watched them build it, and I actually was supposed to help them pull out the pump with the tow truck.
Oh, because I wondered if you'd be willing to work with the condo association to see if the pump's there and rehook it up, or get a new.
I don't do that. I will give them the pipe that I have that should hook it back up, but I don't do that type of work.
Okay, no, I didn't know. I didn't know what you did do. But if I need a tow, I'll give you a call.
I've learned a lot of stuff about water living where I live now, so I do know a lot of stuff about pumps and that, but it's not my profession.
Well, Joe, you're welcome to come over when we're over there. You have a lot of insight. So thanks for your cooperation, Joe.
I had one other thing on this I wanted to talk about was when we do the operation and maintenance plan, like we talked about, communication, if there's an issue that I need to talk to someone about getting it on or off. Also, the height that they turn it on after the storm should be at the height a little lower than my yard, which is the issue. And maybe even put something in the pond that's like a marker that shows the height, so someone can look and say, oh, there's a stake right there or something that it's too high right now. It's higher than the abutter's yard, which should be turned on as soon as it's approved by the whole waiting after the storm event.
Yeah, that should be part of the O&M plan. There needs to be an indicator that this thing needs to be turned on somehow. Whether it's a float switch or a visual marker or something. Somebody needs to know when.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Peter, how big a pump is it?
I don't remember. I submitted the specs to the Board of Appeals, but I don't remember. I mean, Ray Felitti was a mechanical engineer himself, not a mechanical engineer, a mechanical contractor. And he handled it. But I do think I have the specs for the pump someplace.
I think it was a 3 or 4 inch output because I've looked at the pipe for a lot of years.
Really big pump then. And it's in a manhole?
Yes.
Okay.
See if this rings a bell.
All right. Anything else on this?
That look familiar, Peter?
Yeah, that's it. That's the sketch. Who came up with that?
I did. Through Rebecca. Rebecca had it too.
Oh. Okay.
Well, that's the way it worked.
You got everything you need to do this.
I mean, this is what we did. And I don't know if the spec of the pump is there or not. I can't read it, but
yeah.
Was there another page to this?
No.
The pump to be manually operated after a storm event to eliminate standing water in the retention basin.
So we get a playbook.
2 or 3 inch discharge.
Yep.
And Joe, I agree with you on a marker. Joe, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so too.
So we'll do that as part of our O&M when we submit for a certificate of compliance.
Yeah.
Rebecca, was there another page to that showed the pump spec?
No, that's all I had. Because the file's old, it's kept in the archive next door. So I'll have to try to go through next door and see if I can find any other paperwork. You said you submitted to the Board of Appeals. Do you want me to see if they have that?
Yeah, I mean, I have records in my thing that I think that the building inspector might have asked us to get the board to I don't know that there was a hearing or anything, but I think he might have asked us to let the Board of Appeals know that we were doing it back when it was done.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I can look through my files again and see what's there.
Okay, I'll look too. But I didn't see anything. I didn't have anything else electronically.
If I recall correctly, I think I wrote the Board of Appeals.
You did.
Got a good memory, Peter.
Well, I looked at the file a while back too. I mean, it's not 22-year-old memory, but in fact, it's almost 80-year-old memory.
Jim and I don't remember all these details either. We were around.
You know, you're doing better than me.
Well, Jim was around. Jim, were you
Yeah,
on the?
you wrote to them and you wrote to them in June of 2002, Peter.
Yeah.
I have the letter.
Only been 20 plus years. That's right.
Rebecca gave that to me too. You had that, Rebecca.
I don't even know I have this stuff. There's so much stuff.
That's what you emailed me today, so you don't have to go digging too far. Save
Oh,
yourself.
that one. Okay. I was thinking that, Peter, I thought you were looking for more specs, or whether or not there was like some other type of plan that was included with that, in addition to the letter, or if it was just a letter.
No, it's just a letter and a sketch, and I thought there might have been what we call a cut sheet on the pump, but maybe there wasn't. I mean, again, Ray had access to a pump, maybe, and we just used what it is. I mean, you don't have to pump at any great rate to get it pumped down after a storm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no spec. I'm looking at your letter. You said by means of this letter and sketch. So you said this system is only being provided to cooperate with the neighborhood and respond to a concern that the retention basins, due to low permeability of soils in the area, might be wet for extended periods of time.
Yeah.
So we've been trying to work with the neighbors for the past 21 years. We're almost there.
I can tell you there was always water that hung in here, although the Crestas were the people that sold the land for the 40B initially, and they had some gardens here, but the water used to pocket, and I don't know whether the Millbrook Lane development had any effect on it or not. I mean, that was so many years ago. That was even longer ago. That was in I think the late 70s.
Yeah, I do remember, Peter, when you presented this to us, we actually asked for 6-inch contours to try to get a feel for the water.
Yeah. Elaine was out there with your survey crew. We were doing 6-inch contours because we were trying to find a path for the water. Didn't find one.
All right, we have our matching orders. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you,
Peter.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Don't be too hard for your help. All right.
Don't what?
Don't be too hard on my son. All right, take it easy.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. We are half an hour behind schedule. Next up, 8 o'clock, DEP 634-117 New Salem Street. Carol and Richard Hubbard. This is a continued public hearing. Notice of intent for the construction of an addition, replacement of a deck, repave driveway, pave a gravel area, and associated grading within the buffer to BVW. Good evening, Maureen.
Hi, good evening. How are you? Maureen
Good.
Harold, Norse Environmental. Here with me this evening is Carol Hubbard. And I think I will bring in the plan if that works for the commission.
Please do.
Great. Here it comes. Okay, so at the last conservation meeting, the commission had asked us to take a look at possibly revising the plan. So one of the revisions that we made was we're proposing to remove 179 square feet of this compacted gravel area. We're proposing to remove this and replace it with a 2-foot wide, 1-foot deep infiltration trench. So as a form of mitigation, because we would like to pave this gravel area, We're going to remove a portion of it, but we're also going to provide some infiltration. In addition to that, we are proposing 4 native shrubs along the rear of the existing deck and pool and behind the garage area. We're proposing 2 high bush blueberries and 2 common winterberries. Lastly, we had discussed about providing some sort of permanent demarcation. Encroachment is an issue, and we wanted to address this and prevent any other future encroachment onto the property. So I spoke with Carol, and she'd like to install a chain link fence along this area here and then connect it into the existing garage. So that essentially will prevent any other type of future encroachment within the buffer zone or into the wetland area. And I believe that addressed all the commission's concerns or questions or type of mitigation that they were looking for, but I can open it up to the commission with any questions.
You know, I have one thing. You know, you can put chain link fences up, but you're supposed to leave a space so that wildlife can go through. And I know it's kind of well, tell me if you think this would apply. Where you're going to tie it back into the garage, could you just leave that one little section out? Or do you think that's crazy? Right in that little triangular piece, because then if any animals that got in there wouldn't have to go out to Farm Street, I mean to New Salem Street, they could head back into where the wetlands are.
I don't think that's a problem. Carol, do you have an issue with that if we don't connect it from here to the garage? I think she's on.
Oh, she's muted. I can unmute.
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I'm very new at this. And forgive my voice, it's going a little bit. The only reason that I wanted that was because I am under the impression that my pool needs to be enclosed. And that gives an access to get into the pool area. It's the only reason why I haven't done anything yet is I'm just waiting to see for the addition. So that's why it's been open. I mean, no, I personally don't care. It doesn't affect me one bit, one way or another.
Yeah.
But it would close off anybody getting access to the yard where the pool is.
Okay, but you're going to have the garage up against one side, and then where the plants are going at the back, it's above ground pool, right?
You can still get around the back. Excuse me.
Okay. All right. Well, never mind then. I think.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it. That, like I say, it's a very small area.
Well, I know
that was my thought process for it.
Well, maybe Rebecca knows. If she kept the fence up a little bit high in that one little section so that they could get underneath it.
Can you zoom in a little bit and show me what section you're talking about?
Sure can.
Thank you. Sorry.
No problem.
So, Jim, your concern was something on the inside of the fence?
I'm just thinking if an animals or something would travel. I mean, this is probably really hypothetical, but if animals were traveling through, oh, no one can see me, right? I'm just thinking that it gives the animals. Do you have any animals come into your yard at all?
I hope not.
No, I mean, do you know if there's? I mean, I know, like in my yard, there's animals out there. So maybe I'm just thinking it gives them a way to get around this area to the wetlands without going near the street. But I mean, it's not something that absolutely has to happen. I'm just I'm probably getting a little bit crazy about it.
Well, is the front of the property, the street side, there's no fence there, correct?
There's
not on the New Salem Street side?
Yeah.
No.
Correct. So there is a fence located down here by the culvert.
Right.
But the remaining property, no. You're
and
correct.
Then between the the neighbors at 119, between 119 and 117, is there a fence? Or is that open?
Well, you know something, they can get through
That's
there
all
anyway.
open.
I believe it's open.
Yeah, so Jim, there's that whole side
Yeah.
of the property
On which side, Bob?
on the plan left, between 119 and 117.
Okay.
I mean, there's that wall that's being rebuilt, but besides that,
Yeah.
that
Okay.
would not stop.
All right. Sounds good to me.
Just a quick question. Is that new fence along the street as well?
No.
That's existing?
Existing, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the commission?
No. Nothing from me.
Any questions from the public? Rebecca, you didn't have anything else, did you?
I did not.
All right, so there's nothing additional we're looking for, correct? And if not, would somebody like to make a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Any discussion?
If we close the public hearing, we have to issue the order of conditions within 21 days. Is that before the next?
No, you guys have to do it tonight.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted no, I didn't mean to hold that up. I just want to ask that question. Was there a second and just all in favor, Bob? Is that what you were saying? I'm sorry.
There was a second, and no, I have not. I said, was there any further discussion? And hearing none, all in favor. Ken?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Jimmy?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
And I also vote yes.
Great. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, so we will need to talk about an order tonight. We do have other business also. Rebecca, what's your preference? Talk about an order now? Why it's all fresh
Sure.
and applicants here?
Yeah, I think that probably makes sense in case you guys have any questions.
All right, do you want to somebody want to pull up the revised standard order that we have? Because we do have some
Yes,
conditions that we have to go through.
Ken, that means you, I think.
I'm sorry, I had to step away for 10 seconds. I missed it.
Oh, can you pull up the standard order of conditions, Ken?
Are we done?
Yeah, you don't have to stay. We're gonna just talk
I'm done. I don't know. I'm so sorry. Forgive me.
No, you're welcome to stay if you'd like.
But you don't have to.
I'm tired, but thank you very much.
Thank
you. And I do thank
Maureen
you all.
would probably like to stay.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ken. So you want to just keep on scrolling down, Ken? Okay, there we go.
All right, so this is the first condition that has a wild card.
So the whole thing is within can we pull up the map? Can we look at the map and this simultaneously? There we go. Ken does it all, really.
No, he's really.
I was doing all the driving prior to this one, but
oh, I'm so sorry, Bob. I'm so sorry.
In case you're wondering who was doing it,
Bob, I didn't mean to.
And you've mastered it, Bob.
I didn't mean to
so
lessen
seamless,
your
you didn't even know.
contribution. I swear to God, Bob, I'm sorry.
Can I ask a quick question? Between the red and the limit of work hay bales, to the right of the existing compacted gravel broken pavement, right past your highlighted yellow, what's in between? What's in there between the limit of work and the new chain link fence?
That's what's coming out. That was compacted gravel that's coming out. Your question is what's going in there instead?
Yeah, so where it says 20.3, and there's the two arrows in that space, because the limit of work line is out further past the fence. Yeah, in there.
What's in there? There's a big drop off in there, I think.
I'm just wondering, the limit of work out there is out there past where the fence line is. So what is proposed between the fence and the limit of work in there?
I think nothing.
Puddle. Is that not removal?
You're good.
I'm
Of like broken pavement and stuff there?
The hatch.
The removal is the yellow.
Right.
In the bump out too. That's going to be removed. That little
bump
pavement.
out.
But you're not doing anything where Rebecca just said, right, Maureen? There's nothing between where it's marked 20.3. Nothing's going to happen there, Rebecca.
Oh, so why is the erosion control so far away? I'm just curious.
That's a good question. I don't know.
All right.
So we can certainly adjust it closer.
We just write that erosion control line will be on the other side of the proposed chain link fence?
We could, but we want to install the fence. We could put it closer to the fence.
You're going to install the fence first.
Well, we want to get rid of that that pavement. So there's going to be some earthwork, and then install.
I just meant like in that location. Sorry, I didn't mean that it had to be. I didn't say it clearly. Then, just wondering if when the erosion control is installed, can it just be in the location that is behind where the proposed chain link fence would be?
Yes.
Rather than
okay
15 feet away or whatever.
Yeah, right where that went. Okay. And I should have asked that 10 minutes ago before they closed, but I just noticed it.
Don't do it again.
All right, so the condition well. All right, so I guess we want to make sure that we are giving the proper distance where the work's going to take place, and not be on the wrong side. Like, go back to the drawing again, Ken, please. All right, so right now, limit of work is 20, 14, it's 14 there, it's 20 there. So we want, obviously, everything needs to be occurring to the left of the limit of work line and the hay bale line, which is being moved. So they're removing the graveling and compacted broken pavement. But they are digging a foundation too.
Yep.
So and they'll have to backfill that also. They're probably going to want to keep some material on site.
Hmm.
You know, they're going to excavate, put their forms, do their footings and forms, and then do some backfilling after.
Did they ever
Where's that 25-foot?
This dark blue line right here.
Oh, okay. Okay. I see it now.
Probably still make that work, because don't you think when they dig out for the addition, they would probably
driveway
where it says existing compacted gravel?
Yeah, drop it all right there.
Yeah. And similarly, when they bring it in to fill, they would probably put it in the same location.
So you're suggesting 25 feet there?
I think that works.
It may not be 20, but it's 25 to the fence line. It's 20 to the fence in that area.
This is the 25-foot line.
Yeah, but look at the 25 foot line is right
Okay.
there.
All right, so yeah, 25 then is the magic number.
Right?
That should be okay.
They removing that shed at all, at least temporarily, or are they gonna try to work around it?
Work around it.
So go back. We're gonna put 25 feet over there.
Well,
I
I don't
wrote
need
it
to change it here. Rebecca's changing it on her end. I'm just.
Well, fine, but that's just a little incentive for us to go on to the next one. Okay.
Get into the high 40s.
I'm too subtle, obviously.
25 again, right?
Yeah,
For 45. Number 45.
right. So maybe we say 25 feet all along here.
Yeah, I was going to say 20, 25, 25 for everything.
Yeah, that should work.
And there's no special conditions, I don't think. Well, hold on. No, we don't.
I'm gonna just write in that, or have the condition that the hay bale line will be in that other location.
Okay.
Because if someone were to go out and look at it, it would be different for them, the approved plan, and that'd be confusing. So I'm gonna add that condition in there. Well, actually, if you guys are okay with adding that condition in there.
Of course. So there's nothing else special about it then, right? I think we're all set on this.
I believe so. Let's just look at the conditions again. Yeah, 25 should work everywhere. What's after 49? Anything?
50. Oh.
Anything variable? That's it. Where's that other? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, this is not applicable.
There's nothing applicable here.
Right.
All right, so we should be good. All right. Would somebody like to
I make a motion to approve the order of conditions with that 25 with all the blanks, and with Rebecca adding in that provision about moving the limited workload.
Correct. Okay.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Ken?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Jimmy?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
And I also vote yes.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your
Thank you.
efforts.
Have a good night.
You too. All right. So next up, we have some other business items on the agenda. Vote on FY25 budget.
Yeah, Rebecca, so I was confused by your email. So about the budget. Can you pull up what's
So she submitted a budget showing the increased hours,
right?
which differs from what was originally proposed.
Right.
So basically, the only changes would be voting to approve the additional hours. Correct?
But was that I was confused, Rebecca. Is that what is going to be done, or are we still meeting with the town council next week? I'm very confused.
Okay, so every year, I receive a proposed or a previous budget, and then a proposed one, and then have multiple columns that say what you guys are hoping for in every category, and we usually just keep it relatively the same. The changes that I made this year, other than the hours, is membership. I added, I think, $65 to membership to include.
So you added the hours. So this is what we would like.
Yeah, but I think it's based on 30 hours, and I think your letter said 32, did it, Teresa?
34, didn't it?
34?
Yeah, I think it was 34.
It added Elaine's hours.
That would have been 35 then, 30 plus 5. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page as far as what that number is. So after that, after we sort that out, so this is I have to get a formal vote from you guys in order for the it to be brought to the finance committee, and typically we don't typically go in front of town council to discuss the budget. Usually that's just whatever, because we've never requested anything else other than minor changes. I think one year I asked for more office equipment or postage, and this year it's membership. So that's how it's always typically been done. So then I would just plug those numbers in, you guys vote to approve it, I give it to Kevin, and it's usually, that's all that is. So this is just a formality of you guys voting on that this is the budget that you guys are requesting.
And then
last time we discussed it, we didn't take a vote on it.
And then the finance committee reviews it and approves it or not on
That happened already, didn't it?
This coming Thursday.
Okay.
So
wait a minute. Is it this coming Thursday?
The finance committee.
Oh, the finance committee. Okay.
Right.
So I think this Thursday is only going to be a meeting between, and Judy, correct me if I'm wrong, is it, like Steve, Kevin, and maybe someone else. So it's not the full finance committee. And then Monday, the 22nd, is the town council meeting. And so they have your request for the budget. They will have Steve Mayo's recommendation request for the budget. And then they will make a decision. Those two are, for the first time, going to be different. So as you know, you guys are planning on doing something for that meeting on the 22nd. And then I believe there's another finance committee meeting after to review what town council has recommended or suggested or approved.
Really?
And sometimes sometimes the finance committee can disagree with town council.
Really?
So then you would go to town meeting, and there would be the proposed budget. And I'm not sure how, I've never been to a Wakefield town meeting, but at least where I live, they ask for what is the recommendation of the finance committee. So in the event that town council does not approve an increase in hours, you still have an option of going to the finance committee. And I would say most likely ask them if to make a statement or something. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I'll find out whether or not the increase in budget would have any effect on the overall town budget. So increasing conservation, what would that mean for the whole operating budget of the town? And I have already asked Kevin that, and I think he said something. I remember I sent it to you guys. It was like conservation's 0.05%, like literally less than 1% of the entire operating budget. So there's a possibility that even if town council says no, you could get support from the finance committee. And that means that when you go to town meeting and the full budget is approved, there's an opportunity there to, again, perhaps have the budget increased, because you could, although the town council approved one number, you could have finance committee approve another number along with.
That's assuming finance committee approved our number.
Yeah, you could do that.
So a couple of things. Yes, the letter said increase from 19 to 34, so that would be changed. So just so I understand, I don't mean to get in the way of our vote. I'm sorry. Do you want to do that first, and then we can chat?
Doesn't matter. I think it's all right.
Well, we want to make sure that the letter is in agreement with.
Yeah, no. So the letter now says, the letter actually had said 34, so we'll say 30. But my question is, we were going to revise this, and you were going to send me some comments. And because this has not gone, obviously this letter has not gone out.
Okay, Teresa, though, isn't it going to be 35 because you're going to keep Elaine in there, right?
But it's the opening. Actually, I could pull up the letter if you want me to.
Yeah.
So hold on. Hold on one second.
Not that we need to know right now, but do we know when the next town meeting is?
Is it November?
In April.
April.
And it's for the, budget starting in July.
What are we doing?
Okay, I'm opening up the letter. I'm sorry. Okay, so if I can, I don't, I can I share the letter?
We'll send Jimmy right over to help you.
So I'm on Zoom. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Are you allowing me to share?
You're allowed.
Okay, let's see. Share screen. Hey. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yay. Okay. So, so that number in the opening paragraph is going to be changed to 35 to 30. I'm sorry, 19 to 30. And it was just for Rebecca's hours, right? So that opening paragraph, I'm going to change that 34 to 30, right?
Yes.
Wait a minute.
Right?
You might want to make
Yeah, because it's only saying for Rebecca.
Do we need to make a note that we'd still retain the 5 hours for Elaine?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
Otherwise, they may say, oh, they're getting rid of that. Okay.
Yeah, let's keep on reading the paragraph.
Well,
under the current budget, Ms. Veland is allowed in 1 to 5 hours, 1 to 5 hours per week. Is that incorrect now, Rebecca?
No, that's correct.
Okay.
That's really not what we want. We want a total of 35 hours, 5 for Elaine and 30 for Rebecca.
Right, but that's what this would say because it's saying increasing Rebecca's from 19 to 30, and then it spells out underneath that it's working with the 1 to 5 plus currently 19, hopefully future 30 is what it's saying.
So this is also saying in the under the current budget, not in the proposed budget. So in the opening paragraph, should we say we want Elaine increased to 5 hours? Or is that not correct, Rebecca?
I was actually going to say something like that. So I think pretty consistently does 5. So maybe we should just have it Elaine at 5, Rebecca at 30.
Okay, so opening paragraph will say and increase Elaine Veland's hours to 5 from what to 5 hours.
She's already 5 though, right?
Yeah, it's weird.
That wouldn't be an increase.
I thought it's 1 to 5. That's what I'm only trying to find out the facts. I'm not trying to make anything up.
Yeah, so it was originally where she could do anywhere from 1 to 5 depending on the need, but she consistently does 5. So I think however we want to word this so that it although it had previously been approved 1 to 5, we would like it to be consistently 5. And if you want to
we have precedents.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it 1 to 5? It's an allotment, isn't it a budget, meaning that you budget for 5, you don't have to use it, but you come in under budget. So why don't we just say 5 hours per week? It just seems weird. Just say 9 budgeted for her services and 5 hours,
Yeah, 5 hours, right? 5 hours for Elaine Veland.
Yeah. Okay. Just the 1 to 5 is confusing to anyone.
Okay, and anything else you want to say? So we want to say in this letter? Oh, so I'll keep on going down. So in the opening paragraph, we're going to say and set Elaine Veland's hours at 5.
Yeah.
And the next paragraph just talks about the current budget, not the proposed budget. And it's going to say, not going to say January 8th, it's going to be January 22nd, right?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, I just have a little peeve. Can we get rid of that introductory clause, as you may know, in the second paragraph? We just say that we
don't want to assume anything.
Right. Can we just say the project subject to the jurisdiction are getting completely more complex? I mean, it just.
Yeah,
I just sometimes say when you say, as you must know, it's sort of like, it almost
well,
it's awesome.
They have a knowledge base, Peter.
Yeah, right. Well, also, I think it can be very off-putting. Like, you should know this,
Yeah, I know.
I disagree, but that's okay. I'll take out that. I'll take that out in the third sentence too. I have another, as you know, Peter.
Yeah, because you quite a few times.
Third sentence.
Where does it say it? I don't see where it says.
The third sentence
also know the
says
commission
it.
is a volunteer board. We are not wetland specialists.
They know a volunteer board.
They might know that.
I'll take that out too.
And we could say that this is burdensome. What it's doing is it's, yeah, it is. I mean,
that's implicit, Peter. We may be too subtle though.
Yeah.
Okay, does anyone have anything else to add? Again, I'll revise this and get it back out. So I guess we should just make sure we plan on getting it out by email.
The town council meeting, and I think the last paragraph you have it as the 8th.
Yes. I just said that, Judy. I said I would change
that
to 22nd. It's okay. I talk fast.
All right, but I do think you should take out both of the as you knows.
I'm going to. I just said that too, Jim.
Okay. All right.
Yes, that's been agreed to already.
So we're trying to get 30. I'm just trying to understand the hours increase from 19 to 34.
No, it's going to say 19 to 30.
Okay, says 34. Okay, we're gonna change that.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
All right, sorry.
Oh my God!
Stay with us, you guys. Stay with us. It's only 9.
All right. Already. That's when we got the 1 to 5. All right, now I'm glad. Okay, I get it now. Now that we got rid of the 5, it's 30, 35 total. I got it. I remember that.
Are you guys? What's your plan for Monday? Other than this letter.
I'm going to recruit Peter Miller to go to to meet with the commission, with the whatever they are, selectmen and
town councilors, town council,
and because I think Peter's got he's a good speaker. And he's going to stress all the points that Rebecca has laid out already in that letter, Rebecca, that you sent to.
Okay.
Sent to Steve.
Aren't we all going to this one, the 22nd?
Yeah, but you know something, we can be in person at the WCAT because that's where they're going to be.
Peter, I'm going to re-forward you right now what I sent to Steve Mayo.
So when is the finance? So are we not going to go to the finance committee first?
No.
I don't need to.
Okay.
Might not need to, yeah. So Peter, are you planning on
I hadn't planned on doing anything until now. That's the first I heard.
We're developing this right now.
Okay.
I second the motion for Peter to be the speaker.
No. So, well, can I ask? One of the things that persuaded me is, I'm sorry, that all the other towns, we're like the only town that we know of that doesn't have an FTE devoted to this. And would you guys mind if I said that we're getting burnout on the commission? Maybe they'd be happy that we're gonna,
How would the hours change that?
It's a good point.
Yeah.
I think it is valid to note that other towns have.
I think what the other guys are doing.
Resources.
It's not a lot more, but that we're not aware of any other town that doesn't have the full time, an FTE. Certainly none of the ones that are in middle, that are, in our area.
Melrose is the exception. They only have a 10-hour person.
Rebecca, did I send that list of hours?
Judy, you are like a buzzkill. You know that, don't you?
Hold on.
Yeah, Ken, we had a conversation back and forth about some of this information. You had a really nice table, I thought.
I did, didn't I? Did I send it to you or did I send it to everybody?
I think there was a spreadsheet that went to everyone.
Yeah.
I think the spreadsheet was old. The spreadsheet was, if I remember, the spreadsheet was the survey that DEP had conducted. Is that right?
But that was also during the pandemic, wasn't it? Ken?
Yeah. That one had to do with what were your hours pre-pandemic and what were your hours post-pandemic. But when we looked at that spreadsheet, you could see post-pandemic, most of the towns still had a full-time or some combination that equaled full-time, whether it be like one person, I don't know. Most of them had one full-time plus one extra is kind of how it looked to be the most. But Ken, I think we went back and forth, right?
We did. I'm looking for it now.
Okay, I was gonna do the same thing.
I did kind of put together a little table.
Yeah, it was nice.
Going over that. Let me find it.
Ken,
I'm not sure if
you sent that to everyone?
I don't know.
He did.
I don't have it here.
I remember seeing something like that, but I'm not finding it at the moment either.
Well, Ken's looking for that. Eleanor has her hand raised, or I'm sorry, never mind. She had her hand raised. Oh, she has her hand raised. Eleanor, you'd like to add something?
Yeah, I just, as a finance person, I would suggest, I saw Conservation Commission was on the agenda for the Finance Committee on the 18th and the 25th. I know one is a town hall subcommittee, but I would suggest that somebody attend both of those because I'm not sure how well they may know the work that Conservation Commission does, and it just helps. I noticed with other groups that were asking for more, there's definitely an emphasis to keep the town budget flat. So for the finance committee to have a person there that they can, ask questions seemed to be helpful in the other cases. And I guess the Council on Aging was an example.
That's the 18th.
And wasn't that at 3:30 in the afternoon?
Yes.
Wait, the 18th is tomorrow, right?
No, it's Thursday.
Tuesday.
So I think
Thursday.
Maybe not, but you're on the agenda. I would think somebody should be there.
So Eleanor,
I don't know.
I sit next to the town accountant, Kevin Gill, and I've had a number of conversations with him regarding this topic. I also did ask whether or not he thought that it would be beneficial to have a representative on the 18th. And he basically said, because and I think you said subcommittee maybe, it's like Kevin and I can't remember, I think there's only 3 people. And it's really just kind of going over the numbers. It's not really a full finance committee approval. He had thought that it probably wouldn't be necessary or typical to go to that meeting. However, the next one, the following Thursday, in the event that the commission was going to request that the finance committee sort of recommend what the commission is asking for, they would go to that one. That's the way I understood it.
But that comes after the town council, right?
It does, yes. And that's what Kevin said, yes.
Which is bad, right?
No, I mean, that's not the way we discussed it. He
I see.
He had just said that, the finance committee doesn't always recommend the same that the town council recommends for the budget. Sometimes they're different. And in the event that town council doesn't see it, that there's the value of the 30 hours, you still have an opportunity to get a recommendation that the finance committee would recommend, probably based on the fact that it is so minuscule that there wouldn't be, they don't see any reason why the budget couldn't be increased to cover those hours. There wouldn't be any, it would go from 0.05% to 0.08% with the increase. It's still less than 0.1% of the whole entire government employee.
Right, but I guess
even
the question,
with the increase of hours.
but the question is, would the town council, what would you expect the town council to do at the meeting? Take it under advisement or make a decision?
I think they make a decision because that's.
So if they decide they're not going to do it, then what is then aren't you and you're sort of digging out of a hole? You go before the finance committee. I guess my point would be, aren't you now? I'm just thinking in terms of a progression of.
But if the finance committee voted differently, then it opens up a conversation at town meeting.
That's the whole point of what Rebecca just said, Peter, is that it's not, even though it seems counterintuitive, but it's not. The finance committee, just as Judy said, it could open it up again, and it's another avenue.
So this is a subcommittee meeting on Thursday at 3:30. Judy had sent this around.
I hope we have a bigger budget than streetlights.
Streetlights is a surprisingly big budget. There are a lot of streetlights in town.
Not enough in my neighborhood.
That's good.
It's crazy.
It's really funny how
gotta stop throwing rocks at them.
I can walk around with a flashlight. I'm tripping over roots and everything else. So this subcommittee is just like 3 people? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that's the way I understood it from Kevin.
And they don't make any decisions. There's no vote. It's just discussing them.
So I think we show up to the Monday night meeting, see how it goes. And then if it doesn't go well, we show up at the finance committee meeting next week.
Yes, I think that's what Kevin was saying would probably be the best way.
So again, so what would you say based on this? This is the number of filings, but this does not say.
It's interesting how few filings Melrose has. That's very interesting.
So they're all down by files, and then kind of area of wetlands, and then administrator. So I try to kind of take it from 3 angles. So Wakefield to Gray.
You have Melrose as one.
Yeah,
so
I know it. Yeah, I think it's vacant now. I don't think they have any, but that might be wrong.
So I look at this, and if I was town council, I'd say, look, what are you complaining about? Saugus has 1, Stoneham has 1, Melrose has 1,
and we have half.
What?
And we want 1, and we want 1.
Half.
Yeah,
we have part-time, which is half time.
That's what we're trying to do. Is go
to Reading.
Well, we don't have half though, because we have Elaine. So I guess.
All right, we have 24, and they have full-time or more than full-time. And we have, on average,
Linfield has 3.
Close to Reading. Linfield's weird because they have multiple. They have like a tree. And Rebecca, go ahead. I mean, you can speak to this better. I think you told me about it.
Oh no, you're right.
They have multiple people covering different things. But the point is, on average, we have just below Reading and above Saugus, and they both have full-time people.
Right. Okay. Well, we could just I could definitely add that to the letter.
Yeah, and Woburn has a full-time, and Winchester's full-time, and Wilmington has all. They have a director of planning and conservation, plus an agent, plus 2 clerks.
So I'm going to ask you this: do you think just comparing us to other towns will mean anything to the town council? Do you think that would be cause for them to move the needle?
At the very least, we have as much or more filings, wetland areas.
This is just bringing us in line with what we think other towns are doing. They all appear to have at least an FTE.
Or it's a demonstration of that the work is there.
And our number of filings and our kind of the which is in barometer of workload is comparable to those towns.
And so you're suggesting we attach this
I don't think, considering there's already one problem found with Melrose, I don't think you should attach anything.
Right.
But I think you provide this information and use it. And keeping in mind that this, number of filings doesn't include, RDA reviews, tree policy, all kinds of other stuff. This is purely
now, where's
numbers.
this information gathered from, Ken? Where's our source?
So the wetlands, the filings are from DP. There's a file lookup. So these are just going by numbers, that NOI numbers. You can search those on DEP's website. Wetland areas, I went through all the town's open space and recreation plans to pull out size of the town, as well as to try to pull out the acres.
Yeah.
And if there's a bylaw, I didn't get very far on that. I spent a bunch of time on it. I kind of gave up on it. Conservation administrator, I think I looked at the websites, but also Rebecca gave me that information.
Okay, so I'm just going to say, based on information that one of our members put together from DEP files and public files, we've determined that blah blah blah.
You even have to. You just say adjacent towns, Reading, Saugus, and Linfield. We have just as much or more filings, and they all have full time.
Without attributing any kind of basis for that. That's
all right. Well, you can if you want. I mean, I did it for a reason, so you can.
No, I understand. But they're going to say, well, where do you get this information from? I'm speaking too much like a lawyer.
Well, filings come right from DEP.
Filings come from DEP, straight from DEP. And
I mean, I don't know if you have to put it in the letter, but I mean, during the conversation next Monday, I think it's easy to work that into it.
And we can say that we
I prefer not to put in the letter because I haven't double checked it. And if there's a square
and also it's nice to have
that's why I did not put in the letter, because that's what I thought based on this, and that's why I was not put in the letter. But all right, so we're saying we're not putting in the letter.
But you have the information that Wakefield has just as many filings or comparable filings over the last 3 years, over the last 5 years, as Reading, Saugus, and Linfield. Reading, Saugus, and Linfield have at least 1 up to 3 administrators. We have a half.
Now, how come on Stoneham you don't continue on your thing with Stoneham? You know, your colored thing stops at Linfield.
I was looking at that was just for me. I was looking at comparable number of files. When you go to Stoneham and Melrose, they have way fewer filings per year. Every year, average of 2 years, average of 5 years, than we have compared to Reading and Saugus and Linfield. And that's probably a function of how much wetlands and how much.
But I was going to say,
yeah, they have a lot fewer filings. Stoneham, Melrose, you know, yeah, I understand. Okay.
All
right. I like the idea of having. It's always good to have another, you know, because you say what you review what you say in the letter that we're finding, and that based on information that we've tried to gather from DEP filings that we have, you know, that you know, for comparable towns have at least an FTE. And so this would be, you know, it appears that bringing this up, you know, just adding this out this time would just be putting us in line with what other towns have.
They may ask the question, well, how's the work being done now?
Are you asking me, or you're asking?
Well, they may say, town council, or may say, well, it's all getting done now, isn't it?
No,
somebody might say that.
Well, if they did say that, I mean, I would start to say we're supposed to be also not just administering the Wetlands Protection Act, but we're also supposed to be doing passive recreation, and we're not able to do it because we can't have the Wetlands Protection Act is taking up all the time.
It's a good answer.
And not able to apply for all those grants and different opportunities that Rebecca's pointed out before.
We're missing out on grants. We're missing out on a lot of stuff.
I also think that, you know, as much as we value those things, being the Conservation Commission, perhaps another tactic to take is to explain that the burden sometimes shifts over to the applicants when I don't have enough time to have meetings with them prior to submitting documents. I don't have time to meet with them out in the field. And similarly, it ends up, you know what? Millbrook is a great example. I don't actually have time to go back and check out these things as they're happening, nor do I have time to say, hey, your project's over. I've been tracking you. This is what you're supposed to have done. Have you done it yet? And what ends up happening is a Millbrook situation where years down the road, something massively fails, neighbors are impacted, and perhaps this could have been avoided to a certain extent, but I can't be out at construction sites. I don't have time. I don't have time to.
So monitoring is something monitoring is something. Okay.
And I think because the town council would probably not want applicants to have additional burdens or for residents to suffer consequences from not being able to follow these construction sites and to ensure that they are complying with all that they're supposed to comply with. When that burden starts to fall outside of just, oh, I'm busy, but other people are feeling the effects of this, that I think that would probably be a very valuable tool for you guys to justify why you need more hours, because these things are happening.
Well,
and
we got an email this week saying, why didn't you answer my emails? I tried to contact you twice this week. It happened just this week. Why aren't you answering my emails? I've been trying to contact you.
And I'll tell you, previously, I just check my emails at home or on the weekend or on my own, but that's not fair. And it shouldn't continue.
I think too, you can also point out to like all the recent major flooding that's been happening all over town. And just like this docket we just saw earlier tonight with Millbrook with different flooding measures and ways to be working on that. That's something that can be easily slipping through the cracks for future issues.
And we have no educational program, like we are not submitting any information to homeowners. Here's what you can do. Here's what you should be looking at. Here, let us help you do this or that. We don't ever do any of that outreach stuff.
Right. That's true. And we don't even know how well these projects are doing after we complete them.
Well, that's what I'm saying, monitoring. Yeah, just.
And closing it out, I mean, that's a big deal. Getting these certificates of compliance. Every now and again, if I have a when I have a slow week, I would literally take a stack of files and look through them to see where we stand, and then send out the form letters with, you need to do this, you need to do this.
So we do find ourselves triaging, just only focusing on what, pardon me?
That's a good way of putting it. I think that's exactly right. I think triaging is exactly what happens. We just have to take the most important first, and all the other stuff is falling behind.
Right. All right.
Anything else?
Did we vote on the budget?
That's so good you remembered.
Not yet. All right, so would somebody like to make a motion to approve the budget as presented?
So can someone pull it up so we can see what we're approving? No offense, Rebecca.
We've already looked at it.
We have?
I have.
Okay.
I have.
Wait, okay. I'm confused, but that's all right. I'll follow up later.
So we have to approve what we want them what we want them to vote on, Peter.
Okay.
Which Rebecca sent us a while back.
So you're approving what was written in the department recommendation column. You guys had seen it, I think, at the last meeting, and we talked about it, but I didn't get a formal vote because I have to email Kevin.
Okay.
It says the commission voted, blah, blah, blah. So that he has that for his records.
Here it is.
Bob is sharing it, right? Thank you, Bob.
You're all right, Bob.
You're no Ken, but you're not bad.
I'm striving.
You don't have enough hair.
No, too old.
I'm losing mine by the meeting.
So here we go. Departmental request for fiscal year 2025. That's our new one, right? Yeah.
Right.
All right. So that's what's going to be up. So that's what's going to be discussed, right?
That's
no, the one next to it, the 81. Yeah. There we go. That one.
But this is what's being presented right now by the town.
Right, but this one is
right here.
Right.
Okay.
And Rebecca, you had sent me the fact that the percentage, I mean, it's such a small percentage. I could add that to the letter too. Does that make sense?
It was 0.05 to 0.08. I was just looking at that email.
You could even say that it's what did we say? It's less than 0.1 either way. I mean, it's less than 0.1.
Well, this is going essentially from a 0.5 to a 1.0 FTE, you know. Do they use that word in the, in town language, FTEs?
Full-time equivalents.
They do or they do not?
I would spell it out. As you know, it should be spelled out.
Yeah. Don't assume.
Okay. So this is what is being discussed is the budget request and the department request is higher this year.
Yeah, that's right.
And the entire difference relates to a request that we increase an increase in personnel that we move up a half-time person to a full-time position.
So I vote to approve the this budget showing the departmental request for fiscal year 25.
Here.
I second.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none. All in favor? Ken?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Jimmy?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Yes.
Teresa? And I also vote yes.
So I will revise this letter and get it back out, but and then Frank Luciani, whoever he is, has to sign it.
Yeah.
And send it. Wait, this is for a Monday meeting?
Yep.
Okay, so we send it sooner rather than later.
Before Monday, yeah. It's going to be sent via emails. That's pretty easy to do.
You're going to send it to Sherry? Judy, do you know how soon in advance they would have to have this in order to go into what Sherry calls their packets, or does this not
Probably
count
2 weeks. Probably
packet,
2 weeks ago.
Say again?
Probably 2 weeks ago. I'm sure it's late for the packets. But
No,
you could still send it to her. I'll send it to them individually. They all have emails.
Again, we have the individual email numbers.
Right.
Email addresses.
Better.
And we also have finance committee email address and Steve Mayo's email address. All those email addresses. So again, I'll send it out, and who wants to email it? I could have my assistant email it out. I don't know how that looks. Probably not that good coming from a law firm, I bet. Could you send it out, Rebecca?
I don't think I should send it out. I think it should come from a commission member.
Okay, I mean, I'm happy to send it if you think that doesn't, if you think that's okay.
What?
That I send it from my Hammer and Bonds email. I'm happy to send it.
I don't care. If you want to send it, it's fine. If you want me to send it, I'll send it. I don't care. Why don't you take care of it?
Okay, but I'll send you the letter. I'll send it. Obviously, you'll see the revised letter. Okay, so that's the letter. So now let's talk about Monday.
Yeah.
What time is the town council meeting?
I think it's 7 o'clock for conservation, isn't it? On Monday. Judy might know.
Just up.
What time does the town council meeting start?
7.
So we'd be the first item on the agenda?
I don't know. I'm going to pull up the agenda.
They can take it probably whatever order they choose to.
I've never been to a town council meeting, so this is all. I don't know how they do. If it's different than the way we do it, or if it's the same.
Plus, there's a public participation form. I don't know if you'd probably have to fill that out in order to speak.
Oh,
that's
really?
online.
They have a form that you fill out in advance of a meeting if you plan on speaking?
Yes.
I did not know that. Is it, or do you have to say what you're speaking to, or like, is it just I plan on it?
No, it just gives you an opportunity to speak. I think you get 3 minutes. It's on the form, but they go to Sherry and then she sees who's in the meeting room, and
Mm-hmm.
so you'd have to send that as well.
They don't have an agenda up.
No, it wouldn't be up.
Really. Okay.
Probably not until Friday.
Okay.
So, okay, so go back to what we're gonna do. So
you should probably submit that letter with that form at the same time, right?
but everyone who's gonna speak has to submit a form, so
okay.
it can't, I mean, so it's gonna be more than what?
Okay. Interesting. I was trying to find the form. I don't see it. It's online, Judy?
Yes.
On the town council page? Judy, do you know where it is? Do you happen to know where it is on that page? I can't find it. Maybe I could search it. What's it called again?
It's a public committee participation form.
Public committee? Wow.
I found it. Oh, you fill it out online. All right, I'll send you guys a link.
So let's go back to whether or not it's a Zoom meeting or whether we're gonna go there in person.
I would think that it's better in person, but
I think you should go in person. Much harder to say no to someone when you're looking at them face to face as opposed to over a computer.
yeah.
Well, they may not know who's in attendance.
Meaning if you're sitting in the audience, they wouldn't know who you were?
Right.
Well, perhaps if Peter's going to speak, then he could say my commission members and introduce you as he goes around, but then just do the speaking.
Yeah, that would
Peter,
work.
can you be there in person at 7 o'clock on Monday and do
You
the
guys need,
speaking?
if you need me to, I will. Yeah. Yep.
Unless someone else wants to.
I think Peter's a fine choice.
He's looking forward to it. All right.
All right, so we voted. Anything else on this topic?
And so as many of us as possible are gonna show up at, it's the high school, right? That's the
Yep.
WCAT headquarters, right?
Yep. Yep.
It's
the
in
back.
Oh, it's
back.
at the high school. Okay.
It's in back, right near the field house, to the right of the field
Right.
house.
Yep.
I've never actually been
Got a
there.
big sign up there. It says WCAT, so you can't miss it.
And
They
they have
got an
seating.
entrance.
They have like seating in there for
Oh yeah.
public.
They got seating in there. Yep. Yep.
Okay. Well, again, I will get this letter out, and I will once Jimmy signs it, I can I'll email it out.
Okay.
Rebecca just sent around the public.
I see that. Yeah, thank you. So
participation
we can fill that out just anytime now. Just put that information in. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thanks, Judy. I didn't know about it.
I can't believe that's a requirement, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Hey, we should have that requirement. How do we do that?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I don't think they do.
If they're on your agenda, why do you have to fill that out? Isn't that for people that just want to speak on topics?
Maybe.
Yeah, I would think it's bizarre that a town committee would have to fill that out, but
I don't know.
I'd have 10 more years of life expectancy if we had that requirement.
I will tell you, we had to do something before another town, and they're on their minutes, on their agenda, it said each item will be limited to 10 minutes.
Well,
I've never seen that.
Some towns have a timer.
Yep.
And they cut you right off. You don't have to allow public participation.
True.
That's a choice.
That is a true choice. We are honest,
and
open, and transparent.
It's interesting to see. Alrighty, so I think we're all set for this, I think. And the next item, perhaps?
They're talking about the public participation part, and that's something different. We're going in there as a
exactly right. We're going as a commission member, right?
Right. So I mean, this is so because if you don't do this, you can't stand up and say anything. If you just want to bring up a point that you have concerns
Judy,
about.
But Judy, you seem very certain we had to fill this out.
I would fill it out because I've never seen them. I mean, maybe they'll call on you. You could ask Sherry, but they don't allow someone to speak unless you have that form.
Even if you're a committee member?
I've never seen any of the committee members speak at this.
Okay.
So I don't,
so you don't
they may, but I would err on the side of caution and fill it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at least one of you, just in case. I can't imagine they wouldn't allow you to speak, but that's their protocol.
Is it standard when the committees? I mean, we've done this for years. They submit the budget, we submit the same budget, so it just gets approved, right? Is that what happens?
Yes.
Yeah.
So how often do they submit a budget and then we have a discrepancy between what the commission, what the commission asked for and what the I'm just curious. I have no idea how all this works.
I don't know of any time, but I don't know, Judy, do you know of any? Has it ever happened?
It may have happened. I mean, a lot of times they'll know ahead of time if different things are changing on a budget, or they just don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you that I think in 1984, commission requested $850, and finance committee would only give them $750.
But the finance committee makes a recommendation. They're not a hard and fast end of things. They make the recommendation to town meeting. It's still up to town meeting to approve it.
That's true.
But the town meeting approves the whole budget, right? The whole shooting match, right? They don't go line by line. They don't vote.
No, but you could make a point at town meeting if you just disagreed with something. You can make a motion to change something.
So right now, the town council is putting together a budget to be presented to town meeting, right? And so this is a preliminary step to putting together the budget.
The town council isn't putting together the budgets. They're reviewing the budgets. The budgets are presented to them.
Okay. And who presents the budget? I'm just trying.
The town accountant, he presents all the budgets.
Okay. So the town accountant is going to present the budget that has the lower number.
He'll present the number that you give him, which is what you voted on tonight.
Oh, he'll present the number that we give. I see. Okay, I'm sorry. So that's going to be discussed. But so what about the lower number? That is the number that you said the town had. I'm sorry. I'm so dense. I just don't know how this works.
I only assume that they go through conservation budget. What was it last year or whatever? What is the commission requesting this much, and what does Steve Mayo request? And there'll be a difference, and so then there'll be a discussion.
Okay, so Steve Mayo is going to request something. That's what I'm curious.
He's the other column. I don't remember what the heading was. I think it says town administrator. It says town administrator request, department request, and those are the two different numbers.
Okay.
All right.
Next item.
Review draft wetland bylaw.
We're not doing that at 9:41.
No.
I'll put it on the next agenda. Okay.
I think
I've heard that song before.
But we have to circulate a draft of it. We have to actually circulate the model MACC form again of it.
So you want me to send it again?
Yes.
It's old too. It's from 2006. I think that was the date of it. I mean, I sort of, that's how you guys had started the conversation, but I sort of recommend maybe looking at maybe a newer town adopted bylaw, maybe.
So why don't you send one that you recommend, Rebecca?
I'll have to find one. I don't know. Judy, do you have a thought on that? Like a recommendation? Have you seen one that you really like, or do you also feel like the MACC model bylaw might be a little outdated?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at any town. They're basically all the same. It's what you want the emphasis to be on.
Right. Okay. I'll find something.
No, and also there's a bylaw and then there are regulations, but we're working on just a bylaw.
Yeah. Okay. That's the chicken. The egg comes later.
Yes, and we write the regulations. I understand.
Okay.
Hey, anything else?
The open space public forum is Thursday at 7 o'clock via Zoom. It'll be the last public forum. So if you have any comments, additions, deletions, that's your time.
Judy, do people show up for that?
I hope so. I've invited a ton of people.
But no, but we've had these.
I do.
That's my question, Judy.
Yeah, I was there for the last one.
Well, good.
It's well advertised. There are electronic boards in every department in town. It's on all the kiosks, bunch of Facebook pages. So who knows? But regardless, the plan is going to be finished. So if people want to have a say in it, then they need to participate. You can't complain about it after the fact if you didn't take any part in it. That's how I look at it.
They're definitely true.
Now, after this is done, do we have to get the town council to accept it?
The planning board has to approve it. I think it'll be presented to town council. I don't know if they have to sign off on it too. Okay. And the commission has to vote on it, and then it goes to the state.
Okay.
But I think they put together a good plan.
I do too.
It's concise and it has reasonable goals and it seems to cover everything.
Yeah, it revealed a lot of stuff that we should be doing and a lot of stuff that we've done too. All right, Bob, are we done?
Nope. One more thing.
What?
I have one more thing. So the conservation restriction that goes on you guys voted to approve it last meeting, the one that's on the back of the substation property. That document requires signatures from you guys, and the signatures have to be notarized. I did ask if we could have each person come in and I keep it like at the town clerk, and at the end someone would notarize the last signature, and I was told no, each signature had to be notarized. So
am I allowed to notarize, do you think? I don't know if I can. So. What?
Not if you sign it, you can't.
No, but could I notarize? You're a notary too, Teresa, aren't you?
I am. We can't notarize if we sign.
Yeah, but can we? Oh, I see. Okay, but we wouldn't be. You would, but you have separate notary. Do you have separate notarization of each signature?
Well, that's the bizarre part of it. It's as if we're all together in one room and for one notary. I noticed before that the town council signed it, and actually Steve Mayo notarized it. So we have to see if someone in town hall will notarize everyone's signature.
So the thing is, and I wrote to Michael McCarthy today, but it was later, so he probably hasn't seen it yet. But the document that he gave me has all of your names on one sheet, which is typically how we see it, right? All the names of the commission on one sheet with the notary at the bottom. But I can't do it that way because if you guys each come in individually, each one of you have to be notarized at the time you sign it. It's like a complication of not being in person anymore. So I don't have that detail sorted out yet.
So what he theoretically needs to do is set up the signature line so that we have a separate signature on each page of the separate notary.
Right.
But that
is this just what is this for? Is this just so that
I will tell you this, they're wrong.
All you need is one notarized signature.
All you need is one, but no one knows that, Peter. People do not know that. So good luck to telling the attorney for the that you don't need all those signatures.
But you would think a real estate lawyer would know that.
Yes,
he might know it. I got that information from the town clerk.
But the town clerk doesn't know what needs to be recorded documents. No offense to the town clerk.
I mean, this isn't to make it legally binding. This is just to make it recordable at a registry,
exactly.
right?
And all you need is one signature. But again, it's going to be a long fight that will not end well, Peter. Even though
let me try it. Let me try it. Let me just tell her. Let me just ask. Let me just
because that's pretty onerous that you got to get 7 people all at once in the same room.
That will never happen.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it used to happen, but it's not going to happen now.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
So I will pass along that information that you guys just told me and be like, this is from what I understand, this can be done. If it becomes too much of a problem, I've written to Michael McCarthy. He'll have to separate each thing and we'll do it the other way.
And by the way, sometimes we do have to do that. If other people, again, it's a pain in the neck because you have to set up separate signature pages. Exactly.
And so I'll follow up with you guys to let you know when to come in and when it's available, and then for you guys to come in and sign.
Is town hall open late any night?
Nope.
How late is it open?
Not late enough.
Nope. Not what, 4:30?
4:30.
Yeah.
I know.
Not ideal.
Unless we can have a notary stay late. We can find another one.
I'm a notary.
You are?
Mm.
Boom. Pizza and notary.
No, fat chance.
No, well, in that case, Judy, I don't know. I mean, then we can
come to Jim's cocktail party on Friday and notarize
right, we can
the
all
whole
be
thing.
in one place and sign it and have Judy notarize our signature. That would be the easiest thing to do. But that would be a lot for Judy.
Yeah. She's tough though.
You'd have to really make it worth her while, I would have to say.
Well, if you're saying that it can be recorded with one signature notarized, then if I don't leave it at the town clerk's, then it doesn't go anywhere through the town clerk's office. So I just give it back to Michael McCarthy with those signatures and the notary, and he records it. And so we should be all set.
Why can't you sign it?
But the notary section, Rebecca, the page is set up wrong. The page is set up for that everyone appears before the notary. So that page has to be revised.
All right. I'll figure it out. I'll go through some emails and we'll figure it out. Jim, I can't sign it because you guys authorized me to sign specific on your behalf just for specific things. This doesn't
not conservation restrictions.
Right? Yeah, this doesn't fit in that category.
Okay.
I do think doing it with Judy and going to her, it might be the if you don't get a suitable answer, Rebecca, is the way to go myself, but
whatever you guys decide. I mean, I'll do whatever you want.
Friday night, 6:30. Get everything together. Sign it.
You should do that.
Well, you have your drink.
Yeah.
What's the weather like on Friday? Is it going to be bad?
It's going to be freezing cold. It's not going to get above freezing for the next 5 days. And right now it
won't be precipitating. I'll tell you, coming up from the train station tonight I thought I was going to die.
Really?
Everything's iced over.
Oh, it's horrible.
Oh, you're saying the footing was bad.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Vehicles are covered with bulletproof ice.
Right. It's horrible.
Yeah, I have my car parked on Main Street all day, so
it's horrible.
If you park on a hill, you might find your car in the street in the morning. That happened to my neighbor last year. Really, the car the driveway iced over. The car just slid down the driveway into the road and hit another car.
Are you kidding? Wow.
You're kidding me.
Not kidding.
Stuff. My
Yeah.
goodness.
Nobody in it.
I didn't know that could happen,
Yeah, it happens. Our driveways are pretty steep on this side of town.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was gonna go put a chalk block on a truck just to make sure.
Oh.
All right. Anything else? So we don't know how we're going to do the signature thing.
Yeah,
yet.
so I don't know. So again, I'm willing to come. I mean, again, if it's at Jim's house, I can go there on Friday and sign it. If Judy, I mean, I don't know if that's convenient for other people. That's very convenient for me.
I could possibly do that on my way to New Hampshire. That's right about the time I usually leave.
So I don't know. And Judy, are you willing to do that?
Sure.
Can others go to Judy? Can go to Jim's house on Friday night?
Can someone resend the address? But yes, I think so.
Yes, I'm in.
Oh, wow, that was easy.
Yeah, that would be much easier.
Me, but
and Jim, can you print a copy of that? Because I could print a copy and bring it, or maybe
print a copy of what?
Well, Rebecca's going to find out first, isn't she? If Mike McCarthy will format that.
I can, but if you guys do this on Friday night, I don't need to, do I?
She won't need to, yeah.
It'd be good to check first. It'd be good to check first and then have the backup as us going.
Okay, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, save Judy from having to.
Well, you just need the majority of the board because you're not going to get Paul, right? Unless you can.
Oh, good point. You're not going to get Paul.
You really only need 4 signatures, wouldn't you? Majority of a quorum.
Yes.
It's enough for everyone to sign.
Judy agreed with me.
Oh, that's right. You need them. Okay, yeah.
I think the form as it stands has everybody on it.
It definitely does.
Yeah. So the options are to wait until Paul comes back or to edit the form.
So can you just put absent or not available or something?
Where's Paul in Australia, or where is he now?
In New Zealand.
Well, why can't you just ask Mike McCarthy to change it?
Yeah.
And if it's changed to one signature, then that's easy.
Yeah.
You want me to change it to what?
The one signature.
It's not one signature, it's one notary.
One notary, yes. Sorry.
No, that's how it is right now. Right now, it's everyone listed on one page with a notary at the bottom.
No, one person being notarized. I'm sorry.
Yeah. What does the notary clause? What does the notary clause say?
All of them appear before me. All 7 members.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always, what I would do? I would just cross it out. Peter Miller appeared before me.
So I'm going to have him take Paul off. I'm going to have him change it so that it says that the one signature appeared before him and reprint that document. I'm going to give it to Judy and you guys are all going to sign it on Friday night.
Right? But if we're all signing on Friday night, all 6 of us can be notarized because all 6 of us will be there and Judy will be there. So you don't need.
That's what I thought.
You don't need just one.
All I need to do then is eliminate Paul's name off of that.
Yes. Unless they want to wait till January 31st. That's how you could tell them that, Rebecca.
Yep.
Is it time sensitive? Is it something that's got to be done?
I doubt it. It might be though. I take it back. I have no idea.
I don't know. Okay, I'll let you guys know.
Would you could ask Mike, and if you can wait, then just wait till he gets back.
Yeah, that's February sometime, right?
Yeah, Paul said we have a special meeting on January 30th, I think.
The boot camp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 31st, I think. 31st. Yeah, Paul said he'll be back for the 31st.
Oh, you'll all be there? So it's just all of you there. It doesn't matter where you are, right? So you could do it at the boot camp if everyone's there.
It's a Zoom meeting.
Oh, yeah. Wait, is it? No, it's not.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
It's hybrid.
It's
hybrid. It could be either one.
Okay. But Sherry Dalton sent us an invitation.
Because they have to be hybrid.
Yeah, and we would have to know how to make that tablet function like we couldn't do last time. We did before, but last time we couldn't get it going.
Yeah, I mean, because Alicia's coming in person. And there are other agents from other towns coming in person.
Okay, so we should be there in person though. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I
I'm
think
glad we-
that Zoom link is just because they're requiring us to have one.
Okay, it's good we brought it up then, because it won't be meeting. Okay.
Will there be cookies?
Bring some cookies.
Rebecca, can you make sure we have some sort of instructions on how to use that tablet?
Yeah, I know. Because we did it one time.
We
Bob
did.
Instructions in front of us, and it worked perfectly.
Yeah, it worked fine when we, doing, the Vogue project.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's what it was.
You just couldn't get it going last time.
In all honesty, this is the conversation. In all honesty, I don't know why we have a Zoom link for this meeting anyway, because it doesn't need to be
Not a public
recorded.
hearing.
It's not. Would you say it's not a public hearing?
It's not a public hearing.
No, and it doesn't need to be noticed, and it doesn't need to be recorded. It doesn't need any of that. It's just a training.
Right.
So, but I think, I don't know. They wanted to have one, I guess.
Well, that way, anybody else could join in.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, so we don't know if we're doing this thing Friday or not, or are we off? We're gonna meet at Jim's or not?
I think we don't know yet.
So I'm going to ask Mike if he minds waiting until the 31st when Paul is back. Or would he prefer that you guys take Paul's name? We take Paul's name off and you guys do it this Friday.
Right.
Okay. Right. Those are the two choices, Rebecca. You got it. And then you'll let us know.
Yes. I
think that's it. Anything else?
Not for me.
Judy, you got anything else?
No, thank you.
All right. Somebody like to make a motion?
I make that motion.
Is there a
I
second?
make that motion to adjourn.
Second. Anyone?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Ken?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
And I also vote yes. So maybe we see you Friday, maybe we don't. We'll find out.
Find out.
But we'll see you on Monday though, right?
Monday.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Bye.